What's up, guys? Welcome to the Week 4 edition of the Millionaire Maker Sweat Show, the Monday Night Sweat Show here on DraftKings.com. I'm David Kitchen, a.k.a. Socrdave, on the sites and the Twitter machine. And we're going to be doing the Week 4 Sweat Show. We have an interesting game going on between Detroit and Seattle. And there really is not a ton involved with this game. We'll talk a little bit in a few seconds with Adam Levitan. But as far as like high ownership rates, like what we had last week, not the case this week. And you've got you basically have the Seattle defense, which is scary, which is one reason why you wouldn't want to roster Calvin Johnson. But you know what? He just caught a pass. And if there's one guy I'd like to see scored on, it's Sherman. So there you go. I hope Calvin Johnson goes nuts on him tonight. But we do have an immediate change in the standings here on the Millionaire Maker. Chipotle Addict with 201.02 because he had the Seattle defense. And so the teams with Seattle defense immediately get 10 points as soon as the game starts. So he's at 201.02, and then Mano Child is in second place. So Chipotle Addict, you see right there, has the Seahawks D, and Demarius Thomas, Charles Clay, Hearns, Hopkins, Cooper, Freeman, Forte, and Bortles. Garbage time late game time was very kind to his lineup. And then Man O Child, which is a great nickname. Man O Child, Derek Carr, Jamal Charles, Devontae Freeman, Vincent Jackson, who got some garbage time love, Julio Jones, which is crazy that Julio Jones, a single digit, the only single digit on this guy's lineup, and he still has, he's still in second place. But Julio Jones, Jeremy Maclin, Charles Clay, James Jones, who didn't have that big of a game and who came 2 yards short of getting the receiving bonus. And then the Panthers defense. Panthers defense just had a really good game, specifically old Norman there. So I saw someone in the hangout last night say that his bust for the week was Norman because he prevented Cam Newton from getting all the points. So with that being said, we'll immediately go to Adam Levitan. Adam, one of the DraftKings analysts, and looking clean shaven from the you want to tell people why you're clean shaven, Adam, if they missed the hangout show last night?
Yeah, sure. So I prefer to shave my beard, which tends to get a little long in a hotel room. And I don't think that's anything weird. I mean, I don't want to clog my sink. I'd prefer to clog a hotel sink. So my wife was nice enough to get me a hotel room to kind of get away from the baby for one night for my birthday. I was alone in the hotel room. I shaved my face and I went to bed. It was one of the great nights of my life.
That's awesome and sad at the same time. Adam, as far as these lineups go, like these are some ugly lineups. Let's face it. Like yesterday was really ugly for these games with all these studs doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we talked about with like roster construction. Like if you went down to Carlos Williams, it was like, yeah, that's great. He's probably going to outperform his projection, but that means that you're going to be on the same really high priced guys as everybody else. And last week and this week, that turned out to be a major problem. You didn't want to be on Randall Cobb. You didn't want to be on Aaron Rodgers. You didn't want to be on Julio Jones, even though I know the guy in second right now has Julio Jones, but all those guys kind of busted. So yeah, sometimes when you think about roster construction, it's not just the player. It's kind of like what path it leads you down if you go Carlos Williams. You know what I mean?
Yes, and the Chipotle Addict team did not have Carlos Williams, and neither did the Mano Child team. But he had, like, I feel like the story of this week is number one, like just like the studs not doing anything. Packers offense, you called it. I'm gonna give you your props on that. Packers offense and Julio Jones and then the other storyline I feel like is garbage time. Like a lot of these players in these high ranking lineups are got got a bunch of points in garbage time.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins comes to mind right away. I mean, the Texans are leading the entire NFL in plays per game. They're also leading the entire NFL in fewest seconds it takes them to get off a play. I mean, they're just running an outrageous amount of plays, like 7 more per game than the Eagles led the league with last year. And a lot of that is because they're always in comeback mode. And when they go to that mode, teams just let DeAndre Hopkins catch passes. And obviously he gets targets because their other receivers are just terrible. And Cecil Shorts, who's hurt now, and Nate Washington, who's hurt now, and no real tight end threats. So, yeah, kind of a perfect storm for DeAndre Hopkins to get a lot of garbage time. And I know Vincent Jackson, I didn't really see the end of that game yet, but I know he got a bunch of garbage time too, right?
Yeah, he caught a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
So he is like the garbage time king. Mike Evans, so far staying on this Tampa Bay Bucks offense, like they came into the season, and even from preseason, like Doug Martin had all these accolades, and he did score yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But this offense has not been great. Jameis Winston has not been great, and then you also have Evans, who people had like as a potential top 5 wide receiver, and he struggled.
Yeah, I thought he was worth a late second, early third round pick in season long Mike Evans, but then he had the hamstring issue, which, you know, sometimes hamstring issues, like they go Odell Beckham and they have a hamstring issue in camp and then they go out and break every record. But a lot of more times this kind of thing kind of nags at him. I'm not sure if it's still nagging at him. He might have just got Josh Norman yesterday, which is definitely a possibility. But yeah, I mean, I think there's reason for concern with the Bucs offense efficiency with Jameis looking so shaky. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of opportunity for garbage time to throw it up to those guys, especially with Austin Seferian Jenkins out. As kind of a 2-man show in the pass game when they go to garbage time.
One of the stories from this game is the Marshawn Lynch not playing. You got an undrafted free agent in Rawls, the running back, was $3K yesterday, and we kind of knew that Lynch wasn't going to be playing from some of those coaches' comments. So Rawls, I feel like a lot of cash game lineups are on him. I'm not sure if anybody currently is, has him with a sweat going on, but if he takes over this Marshawn Lynch role, he could go for 20 DraftKings points.
Yeah, and I know he didn't go drafted, but for a running back these days, like a lot of really talented guys don't go drafted for various reasons. I mean, Isaiah Crowell comes to mind as a guy who recently didn't go drafted and is pretty talented. That was probably more for off-field reasons, but I know a lot of the draft Nick community really liked Thomas Rawls, so kind of a priority undrafted free agent, one of those guys that signs right after the draft, and they let Christy Michael go, they let Robert Turbin go, but they kept Thomas Rawls. So I think that kind of speaks volumes there. And yeah, I think he can play. And their offensive line isn't great, but the way they play, where they have Russell Wilson kind of moving to the outside, opening up some running lanes, and also trying to grind the clock a lot in the second half of games because they're winning typically, kind of sets up really well for Thomas Rawls. And especially tonight, I thought it was a good spot for him with Detroit, even though they had the #1 run defense by like any statistic measurable last year, since they've lost Ndamukong Suh and Nick Fairley, and DeAndre Levy's been hurt. They've kind of really regressed sharply against the run. So I'm not watching the game right now, but I assume Thomas Rawls started this game. Is that true?
Yeah, he's had a couple of good runs. And as you said, that you also had Russell Wilson roll to the outside, and he's rolling again, two straight runs to the outside. So he is picking up a lot of rushing yards. And it's like college football as far as the dual threat quarterbacks. If he can get 70 or 80 rushing yards, that's like 200 yards passing, and so it really adds a lot of value. And for right now, it seems like they're rolling him out trying to pass, and he's not seeing anything he likes the receiver, so he's just running.
Yeah,
so he's
the Ty God Taylor theorem.
Yeah, he's just picking up like 10 yards at a time, and they are targeting Jimmy Graham. Like, what are your thoughts on Jimmy Graham going forward? Obviously, caught a touchdown pass last week. Do you think they make a concerted effort to make him like an integral part of this offense?
Yeah, I mean, why not? He's one of the most talented pass catchers in the league, especially in the red zone. So we could say that last week was narrative street. Like, he whined. He said he didn't like his role, and then they got him a touchdown. Or we could just say, hey, they got one of the best players in the league at scoring touchdowns, opportunities in the red zone. And when that happens, I think pretty good things are going to happen. So given the rest of their roster, with Doug Baldwin and Jermaine Kearse and Tyler Lockett and those guys. It makes perfect sense to attack in the red zone with Jimmy Graham. I'm more concerned with volume, but maybe the Seahawks won't be that good this year. Maybe volume won't be an issue because like they'll be close or trailing way more than they have been the previous 2 years, which I definitely think is possible. So I think Jimmy Graham, although he's a little expensive right now, I believe he was $6K. If he gets down to the 55 or 5,000 range, I think he'll be, definitely in play for even cash.
Yeah, and this week was a little crazy because not only did you not have the option to roster Gronkowski, you also couldn't roster Le'Veon Bell,
Right.
Antonio Brown, Brady.
Peterson was in a bad spot.
Yeah, Peterson against the Broncos. Like, you had to spin on somebody, and that game script for the Falcons just completely, A, took out Julio Jones, single digits, and B, you had Devontae Freeman, who yes, you and Drew did have 100% in cash. So good for you. I'm happy for you, not bitter that I took him out at all.
Well, tell me why you took him out.
I took him out because of Rawls, and Drew told me, it's like, I don't think you need to mess with Rawls because you don't need to save the cap.
Right. Who'd you want to get to?
He was right. I wanted to get to Julio, and so I have Freeman in about 20% of cash game lineups, and the reason was because I put in Rawls. You also had the Bennett news or Bennett and Forte's value going up because Jake Cutler started yesterday, and that's like again just another story as far as without Jeffrey and with those two guys, like they are week in week out going to be an interesting option on DraftKings because they catch all the passes from Cuddy.
Yeah, and especially home against the Raiders, I thought that was just like a dream spot. I actually think that, I had a ton of Forte. I thought that we kind of took a bad beat with him because if you give me a guy that gets 29 touches at home against the Raiders, like I expect way more than 18 DraftKings points. But yeah, I think that the Bears are not nearly as bad as people believe going forward, especially when they're able to play at home, and the Raiders are not nearly as good as people thought coming in to this week. So yeah, I thought that was a really good spot for the Bears. I'm not sure about their schedule coming up, but I definitely think Forte is annually one of the best players on DraftKings just because he plays so many snaps, is full PPR, and is kind of game flow independent, meaning he's on the field whether they're winning or losing. He's just constantly involved. So Forte is always one of my favorite guys to roster on DraftKings, him and Jamal Charles for sure.
Yeah, there was a point yesterday when I thought he might get the bonus for both rushing and receiving yards. So definitely fun rostering Forte, agree. And like the decision was, I felt like a lot of people were deciding between Latavius Murray and Forte, and Murray put one on the ground and just did not have a good game overall.
Yeah, I thought, I obviously thought that the Bears were going to play really well in this game, so I did not want to have two Raiders in any of my lineups, and I really liked the spot for Amari Cooper, so I ended up not having Latavius at all. I wouldn't necessarily jump ship on Latavius just because he fumbled and kind of got benched a little bit. I think he's a super talented guy who plays really well in the pass game, maybe not as well as Forte, and they do have Roy Halou too, who they can go to in pass game situations, but I wouldn't necessarily jump off the Latavius bandwagon. We just have to find spots where we think the Raiders are really going to be able to put up a lot of points because it's not like they're devoid of weapons. I think Amari Cooper is really, really awesome, and Michael Crabtree is playing way better than I ever thought he would ever again after that Achilles tear.
Yeah, Crabtree surprised, and he actually got hurt yesterday, and people thought it was going to be bad, and then he came back in.
What a warrior!
Yeah, and did well. Like for especially, he didn't do amazing, but he's getting so many targets this season in that offense. Like, and Carr looks to be a pretty decent quarterback for the. It's just weird. It's weird, Adam, having guys on the Raiders that are relevant in daily fantasy. Like, we haven't had that in a long time.
What about real life? Who would you rather have in real life, Carr or Bridgewater?
I don't know. I'll go with Carr.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. It's
2
tough.
months ago, that would have been a super hot take, but based on the
Right.
way that Teddy is playing, it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like. But I don't want to bail on Teddy after 4 games, so I'll still say Teddy. But I think the gap is definitely narrowed.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people, if you say Teddy's bad, like on Twitter, like you just will get hammered. So that's why, like, I felt like you were putting me in a bad spot as the Lions get completely stuffed by this offense. We've got Chipotle Addict on the line, so we're gonna get to him. We'll talk to you a bit later, Adam. But I didn't realize that that Pete would have been in actual first place.
Yeah. If you had told him,
yeah, if Ingram would have scored that.
Yeah.
So definitely interesting. So we'll come back to you in a few minutes. We're gonna go to Chipotle Addict right now. Chipotle Addict, are you there?
I'm here.
You are in first place right now, winning. Like, have you checked your My Contest page? I guess is like the first thing I want to know.
No, of course not. I don't want to jinx myself.
Okay, so
I don't want to see how much I'm winning right now.
You knew coming into tonight that you would be number one. Like, as soon as the game started, you would have that immediate 10 points. So that means that you were immediately going to jump into first place. And now you want no Detroit points, and you want like all of the turnovers and sacks for Seattle.
Yeah, pretty much. I pretty much want nothing to happen except for Seattle pick sixes.
Is that
too much ask, David?
Yeah. Did you prepare yourself today for the most like sweating team defenses is like the most miserable thing ever? Did you?
I mean, not if they just pitch a shutout for me. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Pitch a shutout.
It's anti-sweating. It's like you're anti-sweating a whole offense.
Especially when there's 376,000 people in the tournament. Like, literally everybody in this game is owned by somebody that probably has a chance to catch me. So, like, I pretty much need nothing to happen except for Seattle stuff. Could be tough.
We were just talking were you keeping up with your lineup last night? Did you know that it had a pretty good chance?
I actually wasn't really paying attention until the fourth quarter of the Sunday night game because, like, it wasn't a great score. So I just assumed it was, like, a decent team that was going to cash and everything, but nothing special. But then I realized nobody else had a good week either. So
yeah,
it was a nice little thing to realize in the fourth quarter of the Sunday game.
Exactly. And I bet even better, we were just talking another DraftKings analyst, CSU Ram 88, who might be one of the most well-known DFS players that there is.
Yeah.
He had Mark Ingram, who had a touchdown.
I actually did see that part. I didn't actually realize how big it was until like the end of the game. But I mean, at that point I just assumed it was over and I had no chance of getting first at that point.
Yeah, and they reversed the call.
I don't even think it was necessarily a good call to reverse it either. Like, I don't know. I feel like the call on the field should have stood.
Okay, so I want to talk. It just seems like the stars are kind of aligning for you, and I am very aware of the sweatikit, so I'm not going to jinx.
About all that yet.
Yeah, I'm not going to jinx anything. But what I would like to do is take a look at your lineup. You had Blake Bortles, who got a few extra points there in overtime. You had DeAndre Hopkins, who was garbage time king. You had Charles Clay, who in the fourth quarter just absolutely went off and actually had a touchdown taking off the board. And I feel like you had the Amari Cooper touchdown that got called incomplete at first that was overruled. And then you have Demaryius Thomas, who actually might have been like the worst guy that you had because he got injured there toward the end of the game.
David, I didn't know any of that. All I knew was the Demaryius Thomas one. I made it just so much worse right there.
Okay, sorry.
I should be at first by like 86 points at this point.
No, I'm saying that that you did well as far as like having all these guys just go off at the end. Like,
yeah, I mean
that's the part of daily fantasy is that like even those fourth quarter.
I had all the garbage time crushers.
Yeah, you definitely crush the garbage time. You have been playing on DraftKings for a while. Is this the most intense sweats you're going to be you've had?
Is there a more intense sweat than the?
I didn't know if there's some qualifiers
No, this is it for me.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm being Captain Obvious over here. But as far as your family goes, what have they said? Friends and family, I've got a chance at this.
So my brother's flying out here right now. He's kind of my partner in all this. And I called my sister earlier and chatted with her, but I actually haven't even talked to the rest of my family yet. So my brother sent an email to him saying I had a chance at something big tonight, but I actually haven't given them the details. They're probably kind of out of the loop.
Okay. When you we said you've been playing for a while, are you superstitious with looking at your lineups? Do you have any sort of quirks when it comes to sweating games?
No, I'm not superstitious about it, but I just think it's a bad idea to look at your current winnings anytime before the last game, because it just gets your hopes up that you actually have a chance at something big. And most of the time you're actually not going to win those. In DFS, it's very easy to think you have a chance when you probably have a 1% chance or something. So I just try and not even look at it until the last game. And that way I don't get my expectations too high.
You are a strong man then to not be able.
Well, I said that's what I try to do. It doesn't always work that way, but that's the game plan.
Okay. I'm actually the opposite. I refresh and then I take screenshots if I am winning a lot in the first quarter of the first game. That's how I roll. So we're the exact opposite. But as far as you live in North Carolina?
Correct. Greensboro, North Carolina.
So does that mean that you're you've got a few colleges to choose from? Are you a specific college fan there in North Carolina?
No, actually, I'm not even that big into college sports, but I actually am. I'm originally from Michigan, so I'm actually a big Lions fan. So it makes it a little extra interesting.
Oh no! If they're
and they've just let me down so many times over the years. I can just feel they're just gonna come out and score 40 points tonight.
Yeah, just hang. Oh man,
they just hate me. So we'll see how that goes. Fortunately, they're terrible, so I got that going for me. But
yeah. That's the reverse Homer playing the Seahawks.
Yeah, it's a strong move.
The Seahawks 12% owned though, and you felt obviously you had to pay up to get to them, but you felt like they were worth it in this lineup.
Yeah, I was surprised so few people had them because the Lions are just not good this year. Their offensive line is terrible, and the Seahawks are obviously a great defense. And I felt like that was one of the best spots of the week, and apparently not many other people agreed with me, which I was surprised at because I'm pretty sure the Lions had the lowest team total of the week. I don't know, I might be wrong about that, but I just felt like it was a great spot. I'm pretty close to went all in on Seahawks.
So the first quarter has been uneventful. That's
perfect.
That's what you want. You're cheering for the most boring game ever for this, and so are everybody. Do you have your family there with you right now?
I've got some friends here.
Okay, so you guys are cheering for bad plays. That's we
just want the ugliest football of all time.
Exactly, and lots of sacks and that sort of thing. Good stuff. Well.
We don't have the sacks or anything, but we got a shutout, so I can't complain.
Right, exactly. And I'm sure that sacks will come, and you have to be careful because you don't want too many Seahawks to go off. But if they do get a lead, then that means that they can start putting the pressure. That means that it forces the Lions to throw the ball. And as a Lions fan, you know that Matthew Stafford. He can throw just a few.
He's the man at throwing pick sixes.
Yeah, he can throw a few pick sixes all day. So good stuff. We'll hopefully be checking back in with you later on throughout the night. Best of luck to you. For your sake, I hope that they get all the sacks and picks sixes.
You better not tell that to anybody else that's sweating the game too.
Okay. Don't worry. You're the only person I ever say that to.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Thomas, and we'll check back in with you later. Man, Lions fan and has to sweat his own team to win $1 million. That's like he said, like he had a feeling that they would hang 40 on him just because they're always embarrassing him. So yeah, as a Lions fan, that would be like the epitome Lions fan play is for someone to put 40 on the Seahawks. Also, shout out to Soccer Dave for saying Saxes on accident. Don't know if you caught that, but I did say it. So yeah, as far as his lineup though, all the garbage time, and man, Pete Jennings, all he needed was that touchdown, and he would be the one in first place. And sometimes stuff like that happens, and it's not fun to think about. But if you take a look, Jay Murley is at 197.96, and CSU Ram
chat. Video chat with the people on DraftKings.
Hey, we're live. This stuff happens. So CSU Ram at 197.86, Jay Murley at 197.96. If they get 3 more points, and assuming that is a pretty big assumption that Detroit doesn't score at all, but if they get 3 more points, that means Peter would move into third place. And just taking a look at what the payout structure is, third place, not too bad for Pete, would be $250,000. So he is definitely hoping that the defense can pay off. All right, let's go over some of these lineups. We do have as far as like the prevailing sentiment was that Devontae Freeman is the guy. Like he's just the guy in all these top lineups. 37.9 points. I'm looking at MT Whaley's lineup. He has Andy Dalton, Devontae Freeman, Mark Ingram, another guy that had Ingram, AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Charles Clay, who should have had that touchdown pass at the end, and Keenan Allen and Panthers D. So some of these scores aren't the best in the world, but like you didn't have to get a best in the world score really. What you needed was basically not to step on any landmines like Cobb, like Julio Jones, and you just need to have solid output. Andy Dalton as a quarterback, and Andy Dalton, AJ Green. I'm surprised that as many people, with Smith being back for the Chiefs, I'm surprised that AJ Green was 36.7% owned. He did end up with a decent stat line, didn't do anything towards the end of the game. 7 catches, though, for 82 yards. So he did good. A guy that people were talking about being the number 2 receiver in this game, Marvin Jones, just did nothing. I'm sure there are people who thought that the way the game script would go is that they would cover AJ Green, Smith would cover Green, the shutdown corner, and then you would have Jones getting all the looks. Well, it actually was Sanu. So Mohamed Sanu was the one that had all the points for the second receiver. All right, let's take a look at some of these scores. Do we have MT Whaley on the line, producer? Okay. Let's try to go to him, as they just threw an absolute duck right now. Let's try to go to him.
Quiet down.
He's quieting down the crowd. MT Whaley, are you there?
Yeah.
Man, you've got 179.34, and you've got a player left who's playing right now, a wide receiver. Who is that?
Doug Baldwin.
All right, yeah. So you got Doug Baldwin. So you're hoping for all the Baldwin points, like 30 Baldwin points.
The most Baldwins.
Yes. All the Baldwins. And like, did you switch off of Baldwin, or is he in your original lineup?
Actually, he was in my original lineup, but I had Randall Cobb and I switched him out for DeAndre Hopkins, so that paid off a little bit.
Yeah, it paid off a lot a bit. That's a 18-point difference. Were you sad when Mark Ingram didn't get that touchdown last night?
Yes, definitely.
That is a nice word for it.
Okay.
That was a good way to put it.
Someone in the background said sad is a nice way to put it.
Yes.
Were you hitting things? Were you throwing things?
Yeah.
All right. So you are from Missouri, is that right? Or Maryland?
Maryland.
Okay, the MO and the MD look similar. You're from Maryland. And does that mean that you are a Redskins fan?
No. I'm actually a Steelers fan.
Oh, and you couldn't play Steelers this week?
No, I couldn't.
All right, so how much money?
Didn't like the matchup anyway, so.
You're right. How much money are you currently winning right now? If you go to my contest, how much money are you currently winning?
I think I just dropped to 500 when a lot of the people that had Seahawks D, they jumped up with 10 points.
All right.
So I dropped to 500.
I want to encourage you, Matthew. I don't want you to be bummed out. Last week, we talked to a guy, and when we first started talking to him, he had, I think, $300. And at the end of the night, he had $150,000.
I can live with that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's going to be you, but I'm saying, hey, it could definitely
It could happen.
Yeah, especially without Marshawn Lynch. Who knows? You might have Wilson rolling out and throwing to him deep.
Definitely.
Did you?
As long as he doesn't run and take off.
Yeah. Did you consider Baldwin with the Marshawn Lynch news, or did you consider him before you knew Marshawn Lynch was going to be out?
Well, I considered him before just because of the value and the cost of some of the other players that I had on my roster. I kind of overpaid a little bit. Probably I was banking on AJ Green doing a little bit better with Kansas City's cornerbacks playing so poorly last week. He didn't produce as well as we thought he was going to.
Yeah, 15.2, but he outscored Julio and Cobb. So if that's the guy.
Yep.
Here we go.
Oh, we got a long pass to Lockett. And a flag. So every pass that goes up, I'm guessing you've got some people around you. You are just like gasping.
Oh yeah.
How many friends do you have in that living room?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 plus me. And a dog.
What? And a dog. So you've got 10 people watching this game, hoping that you get a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they're.
And if I do, I get to skip work tomorrow.
Okay. Is there like a best case scenario for you?
Well, obviously, the first place.
Good answer. Is there a place that you would like be okay? I'd be okay with that. Like that's a really good spot. Like top 10, top 5.
This is only the second week I've ever played.
Oh, so so you're doing well then. If this is your second week only playing, did you? As far as like, are you a season-long fantasy football guy?
Yeah, I have one ESPN season league.
Okay, and so you thought, hey, I'm seeing all the commercials. I see it on ESPN. I might as well try it out.
Yep, and one of my good friends and coworkers told me he was winning some money, so I was like, why not? So.
Yeah. So is he saying that if you win a lot that you owe him like a little bit of a tip?
He is, but it's also because he was the one that suggested that Randall Cobb might not live up to par. So I switched to Cobb. So if I do win enough, I feel like I'll owe him. And he's here right now. So
okay. So he's your DFS mentor then.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, the way this game's going, like they are looking deep for some passes. Yeah. So hopefully that will work out for you. Matthew, we wish you the best of luck. And as far as like deep Baldwin passes, don't just go for one. Go for all the deep Baldwin passes.
All the Baldwins.
All right, all the Baldwins. Thanks, Matthew. Hopefully, we'll be checking in back with you throughout the night.
Thank you.
So we're gonna go right now, and is it possible to take a little bit of a break? Okay, so we'll take a little bit of a break, and we'll queue up a segment from last night. And as far as no, we're not going to queue up a segment from last night. Just kidding. All right, so screw it. We're not going to take a break. We'll power through it. And got a laugh track in the background. I love it. So can we get Adam Levitan on? Is that okay? Maybe. Or we can go to the next guest. All right, let's go to Levitan. So we'll get Adam on as we're just like scrambling. And speaking of scrambling, wow, you have. Oh wow, who is that? It might be. Oh, it's Curse. I thought it might be Baldwin. You have Russell Wilson just scrambling and making plays out there, and Detroit knows that they miss. Like he's being elusive. Adam, are you there?
I am. What's going on?
Oh man, we're just powering through this thing. This game is as exciting as we thought it was going to be. Like no score so far. 11 minutes left in the second quarter. We do have our first touchdown though. Who is that? Is that Baldwin? Wow, Baldwin just caught a touchdown pass. So let's see if we can go back to Matthew. Is Matthew still on the line? Let's get some laugh tracks in there. I bet they're going. No. Well, there you go. We definitely.
That was quick.
Yeah. So we're back.
All the Baldwins.
So, all right. So we're gonna. As far as like what place you're in right now, I can't see what place you're in. But I'm guessing that you're gonna have a pretty big bump up from that. That's a 30-yard pass.
Yeah.
And it
66th place.
Okay. All right, so you're in 66th place. I don't want to say anything, but I feel like me interviewing you. Do
I owe you two?
Yeah. So you're gonna make a check out to your DFS mentor and to Socrdave.
Well, he was at for 1,000, so I don't know if 33% is worth it.
All right. So you have Doug Baldwin currently at 9.4 points. That puts you at 188.74. And
he needs
so he needs a little bit more. But like you said, you were just at 500, and now you are at 3,000. So that's a pretty big bump up. And let's say that. Let's say he gets another 10 points. That would put you currently way up there, and that would put you like a top 5 if he gets another 10 points.
10 points.
Come on.
So that would put you in 6-digit territory, Matthew. How are you feeling about that?
That would be life-changing.
So have you decided what place is gonna mean when you call out of work tomorrow?
I think top 5.
Okay.
Top 5 is gonna have to be. I gotta cut it off somewhere because they told me I can't resign. That's all. So I guess technically I could probably do it with $500, but I don't know how I would justify it to my boss.
Okay. So does your boss know that you have this sweat going on?
Yes.
Okay. So he's fully aware. He knows that sickness, air quotes, means that you want a lot of money if you're not there tomorrow.
Exactly.
All right. Cool. So, so I said it last time, but we'll be checking back in with you throughout the night. Maybe even next Seattle drive, they'll have another touchdown. So congratulations. It's always good to get the first points out of the way. Like,
yeah, that was a huge lift.
So hopefully you guys can enjoy the rest of the drive and that, or the rest of the game, and maybe get a few more drives. That scoring drive, 6 plays for 67 yards. So we'll be back on with you. We have now Mike Barth. Mike Barth is 11 Monkey. That's his name. So I want to first find out, Mike, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. What is 11 Monkey?
That's all my poker buddies laughing. 11's my favorite number, and Monkey's my nickname.
Okay. So
It looks like fun.
you of course, if you had your poker buddies there with you, you knew that someone was going to say you oh wow, you guys are partying up big. So tell me about your lineup going on right now.
Oh, I got Calvin Johnson. That's it. That's what I need. I've thrown him one time.
You have to feel good though that Seattle is scoring, because that means that they have to throw the ball.
You would think.
Yes.
Actually, I went out and bought this today.
Okay, I was going to ask you. You've got a Megatron jersey on. Where do you currently live?
I'm in Cleveland, so football. We barely have football here.
Yeah, bless your heart, being a Cleveland fan.
Hey, we're just setting everybody up for that big second half surge we're gonna have.
Hey, if you win the million tonight, you'll be like the first champion that Cleveland's had in a long, long time.
Unfortunately, I can only win $100,000, but I'll take it.
Okay, so you're in a different contest, not the million.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Sorry.
It's all right.
So we have you currently winning $400 and $100K to first. This is in the 1.5 million play action.
Yep.
All right. So talk to us about how long you've been playing on DraftKings.
I probably started about 4 months ago doing golf.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and I that went well. So then football started. Obviously, we've been playing fantasy football forever, and I just jumped on and started. Actually, this is the first week I didn't play the $1 million game, which is kind of funny. I've done that the first 3 weeks and finished 100,000th place, and I just said screw it. I just played this $3 one, and here I am.
Well, hey, turning $3 into $100K would be a pretty nice little gig.
He does it all the time.
You got
Commercial.
you got your friends. They want you to be on the next commercial. As far as you're sweating, are they being supportive of you, or
Oh yeah.
Making fun of you sweating this lineup?
No. I mean, they're all rooting for me, but they did remind me that the $1 million one that started tonight was only the first place guy was at 190 and not 206. They reminded me about that tonight.
Yeah, obviously, sometimes that happens, but again, a good consolation prize would be $100K.
It'd be outstanding.
Like a couple of years ago in the industry, that was like the top prize, and now it's a top prize for a $3 game.
Can you let them know that Megatron's like 6'5" and 230, and they should throw him the ball once in a while?
I'm actually going to write a note and send it to Stafford.
That'd be awesome right now.
But that's the thing, though. This season, for some reason, they haven't been doing the typical alley-oop, throw the ball up, and just see if he can catch the ball.
Yeah, I hope, like you said, Seattle gets up. Maybe that's a blessing for me. I'm a little worried about Russell Wilson because the guy behind me's got Wilson.
Yeah.
In front of me, it's pretty much clear sailing if Megatron does his job. We'll see.
Let's go, Megatron!
Let's see. Who was that? It might have been a tight end, Eric Ebron.
Touchdown! Here it is.
Of course, it's not him.
Yeah. So let us know about what's your lineup. 206 is one of the top scorers on the site. So talk us through your lineup.
Well, like you know, I'm a Browns fan, so I had Phillip Rivers and Danny Woodhead on the Chargers this week.
Naturally.
Right. I went with Freeman, Atlanta. He obviously had a big day. Who else did I have in that lineup? Let's see. I took AJ Green. I took Macklin, and I had Andre Hopkins for Houston because we had Brian Hoyer. DeAndre Hopkins. We know Hoyer stinks, so we figured they'd be down and they'd be throwing, and that happened. So it turned out all right. So Megatron was one of my, high-profile players that I tried, and he's the only one that's not doing anything.
Gary Barnage, only win a lineup.
That's right, Gary Barnage. I just take a Brown.
Okay, so you do have Gary. He's one of the favorites of another fellow DraftKings analyst, Andrew Wiggins. He loves Gary Barnage this year.
Yeah, because we have Josh McCown. He blows and he always checks down and throws it to tight end. So he's a good play.
Yeah. So as a Cleveland fan,
yeah,
do you want Johnny Football to start for you guys?
Oh, I do. I'm assuming you saw how we lost this week, right? We jumped off sides on a field goal.
Right.
Well, if we don't jump off sides, we go to overtime, which means I have 3 guys in that game that can get more points.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how it is being a Browns fan.
There's a guy currently sweating the $1 million, and he has the Seattle defense.
Wow.
And he's a big Lions fan. So he's worried that the Lions are going to let him down one last time. It seems like the lovable losers, though, like their fans are doing well in these games. So congrats to you. Hopefully there will be some Megatron action tonight, and
That'd be great.
And we'll be able to come back and you'll be winning 6 figures.
Well, yeah. As soon as he scores a touchdown, you can call me back.
All right. So that will do it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, 11 Monkey. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know 11 Monkey's name. I forget what his name is, and it's a little weird calling him 11 Monkey. But that is his lineup. All right, can we go back to Mr. Levitan now? Either Levitan or the break. Give me one, producer. Give me one.
I'm here for you, brother.
Yay, Adam loves you. Currently cannot see my the out. It is a picture of a computer screen. But talk to us about this game. Have you been watching it at all?
I saw a little bit. I saw Ebron look like he just got hurt, which is trouble for them. They already have Brandon Pettigrew hurt, but I was on Ebron in week 3. Didn't really do much. I think 4 for 61, but wasn't on him in this spot. So the beauty of DraftKings is if you're not on a guy when he gets hurt, don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you have some people sweating the Seattle defense. You have people sweating Megatron. No one really sweating Rawls. But some people might have played him in cash if they want him to do something. I think he got like 3 carries or 4 carries. Only 1 was for positive yards.
Yeah, I see 5 carries for 2 yards. That's hashtag not good.
Hashtag not good at all for Socrdave's bankroll. I'm in that $25 million or $25 million double up, $25 million double up. So I needed like 10 points from him, and it's not looking good. I definitely need a touchdown from Rawls, but it's okay. Those things happen. Andy Dalton has been a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
The Red Rocket.
He's currently in this lineup that has Baldwin. Some people were calling this, though, that they thought it felt like Andy Dalton and another guy, Tannehill, for the Dolphins were the 2 guys that people were saying were going to step up this year. Tannehill, not so much. Andy Dalton, yes.
Yeah, so Dalton is only 2 years removed. Like in 2013, he was a top 5 fantasy quarterback for the whole season. It's definitely in him, and they're absolutely loaded. I mean, think about who's on their roster. They have 2 really good running backs. I think they have at least 3 good wide receivers if you count Sanu in there with Jones and AJ Green. I think Eifert is a really good player. They're pretty talented on defense. Like they're just a legit good team. And Andy Dalton he's run for a touchdown this year. Like he's reasonably athletic. The part where he's struggled obviously is Monday night, Sunday night playoffs. I don't know what happens to him then. Maybe like that's a big narrative streak that I'm sure Dink would not want to hear, but maybe he just gets like super nervous in these really big spots. But you would think after playing in big games for so long through his whole life, that's not it. So maybe it's just a coincidence that he hasn't stepped up well in the playoffs or Monday night games and stuff like that. But yeah, I think, Andy Dalton's 5,900 this week. That's just egregiously low for a guy with his weaponry, and especially a guy that was facing a Chiefs secondary that we knew was pretty bad, even with Sean Smith coming back.
Yeah, Sean Smith. People thought Marvin Jones was going to be the guy with
I
Smith.
did, yeah.
Yeah, bodying up to AJ Green. A lot of people did, but AJ Green, he didn't have a great game. But the bottom line is he had a better game than Julio and Randall Cobb, which was one of the two other options.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons I don't really use AJ Green in cash is because they have so many guys they can go to. Like I prefer for cash to have a guy that I know is like going to be the focal point. And not to say that AJ Green isn't a focal point, he's just not the focal point like DeAndre Hopkins is or Randall Cobb is or somebody like that. So yeah, I think AJ Green is a great weekly play. At 37% or whatever he was, probably not such a great play, but yeah, he's definitely is he in the guy in first lineup?
No, he is in the lineup that this guy needs some more Doug Baldwin.
Oh, the Doug Baldwin guy, yeah.
Yeah, so and that's what's crazy about this lineup is that Chipoliatic's still in first place, but it's real easy for a defense to lose points. If they get scored on. So that would mean that 199 would again be the target. That means that the Doug Baldwin lineup would need 12 fantasy points to be the leader in this competition. So
did we figure out if you had given Al the right advice on his late swap that he would be in first right now? Is that possible?
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. No. If here's how it went. Al asked in chat. This was around 3 or 4. It was before the late game started.
Yeah.
So it was like the third or fourth quarter of the 1:00 Eastern games. And he asked a 2 for 2. And I gave him the answer, but I thought I was in such, we call it tilt enter late contest. So I was in full mode telk. And so I was just entering all these late 4 p.m. only slates, late slate, just because my team, I had Julio Jones and I went off of Devontae Freeman. So I was entering all these teams, and Al comes in the chat and he says, hey, Darius Green and
Mark Ingram
versus Randall and Witten. And I was just thinking, hey, he's like me. He's tilt entering late contests. He's entering cash game lineups. I don't trust Darius Green and I do think it's going to be a high scoring game. So I gave him the wrong combo.
Mm-hmm. I think he might be in first. I'm not even trying to make a joke.
He probably would, Adam. And you know what? He's Smith's Life. He's on ESPN. He didn't even need the million. He's like, oh, $1 million? Cool.
Yeah.
He probably would just given it right back to me. He would have wanted Smith's Life. Maybe we can even get him on. No, let's not get him on the show tonight. Let's get him in a few weeks when he's when he's cooled down a little bit. All right, we talked about the Melvin Gordon thing and the Chargers offense because it's definitely an interesting situation. We talked about it last night, so we're gonna actually play that clip that we talked about last night, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. But yeah, this Chargers offense is people keep on trying to predict Melvin Gordon breaking out, and so far it hasn't happened. And this is a clip that we talked about as far as maybe why that's happening.
As far as another interesting take, let's talk about this Melvin Gordon thing because people were high on Melvin Gordon and they thought it's another case of trying to figure out the game script. And even with them being close in the first half, he had 6 carries for 30-something yards, but still only 6 carries. Woodhead ended up outscoring him, and it was it wasn't a high scoring game. You do have Phillip Rivers that did good, but it seems, Adam, that they were intent on passing the ball.
We're intent on trying to make Melvin Gordon a thing when perhaps he's not a thing. Yeah, back-to-back weeks bad on Melvin Gordon that I liked him a lot both weeks. I don't know, maybe the preseason takes were right that he's not that hashtag good. And also, obviously, 3 injuries along the Chargers offensive line. I didn't get to watch that game, but I'm sure that did not help the situation. In terms of the usage, yeah, I mean, we know that he's not going to be involved that much in the pass game. Definitely not 2-minute and 4-minute drill, which they got into a bit of in that game. So, yeah, I mean, gonna have to take a step back off of Melvin Gordon for a little while. It's pretty frustrating.
I thought he had a couple nice runs, and they gave him a red zone carry, which there was just no room whatsoever, so he got stuffed. And then the next play, they threw it to this Phillips guy, who I don't even know who he is. Just a little pass to him.
Josh Phillips.
Yeah, Jay Phillips.
Sorry to the Phillips family.
And then Woodhead came in late because it was a close game, and Woodhead actually had the longest catch of his career, which I thought was kind of interesting. It was like a 50-yard reception. But I don't know. I thought Melvin actually looked all right, and it didn't quite work out with the touches. But I'm going to keep playing him in tournaments for sure, especially when they're favorites.
Yeah. So I watched a lot of that game because I did have a lot of Gordon in tournaments, and I'd come into the week kind of trying to decide whether he was cash game worthy or not. And I ultimately decided he just wasn't cash game worthy because there was too many unknowns. But that for tournaments, I was going to take a shot on it. And the unknowns were if he'd get used in the goal line, if the game script was favorable. And so I think we got that checked off that he was, because he got that carry first and goal at the 1 in the fourth quarter, and he was in on the play action, the second and goal touchdown. So we at least know that. The problem is that I don't see them giving him a heavy workload unless they're playing from way ahead. And I don't think their defense is good enough to get them into situations where they're playing from way ahead. So it's going to require long runs. But I agree with Andrew that I thought he looked good when he ran the ball. He had another like shoestring tackle that could have been a really big run, which he's had pretty much each and every week. But he's not – I don't think you can ever pencil him in for more than 10 touches. And – we're talking at Amir Abdullah type range right now. And I know the first 3 weeks, the question was if it was game script related because they were always playing from behind. I think today we got a good idea that, no, they just really like Danny Woodhead. And we're not going to get, Melvin Gordon for 15 to 20 carries, even if the game script is right. So it's going to be long run dependent.
It was also noted during the broadcast that he's very hungry for a touchdown. So
Narrative Street.
Yeah, he's very, very hungry, and he's frustrated that he hasn't eaten yet. So maybe he'll eat next week.
Maybe, but for the time being, it seems like they're perfectly intent on throwing the ball, and I think there were 2 injuries today to the Chargers, which makes Keenan Allen an even better play. Who went down? Malcolm Floyd.
They lost Floyd and Stevie Johnson, but they'll get back Antonio.
Who's coming back?
Next week.
Somebody's coming back.
So they'll get old man value back with Antonio Gates.
He's a not on steroids Antonio Gates. Let's see if what he can do. He might pull an Andre Johnson or Roddy White on us.
Wiggins.
Well, we know he's doing steroids all summer, so we don't even have to speculate. So he hasn't been on steroids for like 2 months, but hopefully he did his work over the summer. And the guy always, beginning of the year, he's like a lock for a touchdown a game for 6 games in a row. And then he takes the rest of the season off. But I think he's 4,200. I'm pretty sure I saw someone tweet that. 4,200 next week. Guaranteed touchdown. I don't even know who they're playing, but
they have a good matchup.
Andrew, the old man whisperer Wiggins. Like, you love the veterans, the wily veterans, the crafty ones.
We are back, and Soccer Dave just had pizza in 4 minutes. So I'm feeling good. And if you take a look at what happened, Detroit actually kicked a field goal. So that moved Chipotle down a point, 1.42. And then also you had Eric Ebron go out of the game. Sorry, little pizza coming back up. But you had Eric Ebron going down for the game. So that might mean more Calvin Johnson, more Golden Tate, or more Seattle defense. Adam, are you there?
I am.
What's your thoughts about Eric Ebron going down?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect them to move the ball very well in this game anyways. I'm not sure Eric Ebron was really going to be a huge factor. But yeah, I mean, if they get into comeback mode, let's say they get down 14-3 or 21-3, we could see some prevent from Seattle and then get Calvin and Golden Tate going a little bit. So it can't be a bad thing if you have those guys.
Yeah, I think, not a lot of people are playing Ebron, but here's the thing. I have to give the first qualifier for the DraftKings tournament, Laffy, on Twitter @Laffy_D, because he's the one that came up with tilt inter late contest. But like, it used to be that late contests were like maybe a couple of people were playing. Now you have like $100,000 for a primetime contest or a Monday, Thursday contest. Like there's a lot riding on a guy like Eric Ebron when there's only 4 tight ends to choose from. Yeah.
I mean, I was playing 2-game NBA slates last year in the playoffs because I love it. And even on 2-game slates, I feel like there's sneaky plays and there's chalk plays. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like 2 games. I like small slates. Maybe not 2. I think 4 to 5 would be ideal.
Well, the fun thing about the late slate and the smaller slates is that you still can have action on it. Whereas yesterday, it felt like most of my action was in the first 1 o'clock games.
Yeah.
And, other than the Packers game.
Yeah.
So I knew that I needed a big Packers game, and it didn't happen. But the way that it's worked now, Seattle is driving and is going to score some more points. The 2-minute warning. It's 1st and goal though for Seattle.
Is it? And who's in, Rawls or F-Jacks?
I think it's F-Jacks.
No, I see Rawls 34.
Oh, yep. It is Rawls. So yeah, Rawls is lined up in the backfield with him, and he got a play action fake, and then Russ gets sacked. He couldn't avoid that last little move.
Oh.
So that means, if you're a Baldwin owner, that's almost good for you. You want it being an obvious passing down. So yeah, let's go quickly to Matt. Do we have Matt back on?
Yeah.
Hey. So you've got another potential scoring situation, and now it's turned into a 2nd goal on the 25-yard line. And you're just looking for any sort of signs of life from
any sort of catch. It doesn't even have to be a score at this point in the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
you just want positive points, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So
I'm just questioning that 6-inch line spot last night is going to cost me $1 million in the long run.
Yeah, another guy, CSU Ram 88. He would currently be in first.
What was the name of that referee? I'm gonna have to find him.
I don't know who the name of the referee, and from the tone of your voice, I wouldn't tell you. If it's Ed Ockley, you're not messing with him.
I want to say it was Walt Coleman, but
yeah,
I don't remember.
Google knows everything.
And Mark Ingram was not happy at all.
No. Well, and the fact that he didn't even get to stay in the game and get another touch.
Yeah.
Was because he was running the ball well the last 2 touches he had. So it was kind of absurd that they put Kyrie Robinson in.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why you could tell that Sean Payton's not a fantasy fan, because he knows the rule.
Right.
For a touchdown and it gets called back at the 6-inch line, you put your running back out there to score.
Right. Well, and I mean, obviously it was good for them that CJ Spiller scored the game-winning touchdown, but I would have obviously loved to have seen a better drive.
Yeah, and more points.
At PPR, man, Russell Wilson looks horrible this drive.
Yeah, their line is either their receivers aren't getting open. It's your boy Baldwin, or the line is just protecting them. But yeah, they didn't do anything that drive. But you have a whole second half to get more points.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much 10, 12 points.
Yeah, a few passes. Is it kind of sunk in? The Like the enormity of the situation?
Oh, it sucked. It sunk in considering I only got 2 hours of sleep last night.
Oh, wow. So,
And
like,
I'm not even tired. That's how much adrenaline is pumping.
okay. Well, it is within reach. Like, CJ Spiller, if you got what CJ Spiller had last night for Baldwin, like,
That's it.
that's all you would need. But, I mean, really, all you would need is a 20 to 30-yard touchdown to put you back up there in the top. So,
That's in top 5.
yeah, so that would be crazy. Well, we'll come back hopefully in the second half, and I really would like to get like the room just going nuts after a Baldwin touchdown. Would be fun.
That will be definitely possible.
Awesome. All right, so we'll check back in with you later on, Matt. We'll go back to Adam Levitan, Adam, one of the DraftKings analysts and the host of the Daily Fantasy Podcast Edge, or I had the and I messed up the title. The Daily Fantasy Football Edge. I'll get it. I'll get it.
New episode tomorrow, solo episode. I'm preparing as we speak. You might be able to see Jerry in the background catching a big nap before we do the episode tomorrow.
Okay, it would honestly surprise me if Jerry was not catching a big nap in the background. Like, I don't know if I'm still not convinced that Jerry is like a live dog. Not one of these stuffed dogs. But
no, she just likes to sleep.
Yeah, she does. So as far as like that last drive didn't go well for the Seattle owners. They just moved backwards the whole time. And then you got a field goal and that was it. But hey,
yeah, Rawls does not look good.
No, hashtag not good at all. But we do have a sweat. Like, I didn't know we are gonna have a sweat tonight, and we've got the Seattle defense, who's 1.4 points behind, and then also this Baldwin play. And I wasn't on Baldwin at all. I feel like the Seattle receivers, like, you can't really trust which one's going to go off on any given night.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Detroit secondary is pretty bad, but I don't think Doug Baldwin is any kind of strong talent and not really used that much. Curse really isn't very good. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I've ever played a Seattle wide receiver in like the last 3 years. I can't remember if I did.
Yeah. Last year it was like Curse or Baldwin. The correct answer each week was neither. Like don't play either. So yeah, going into halftime now, about to be halftime. Let's just like recap a little bit of the few of the games yesterday. We talked a little bit about it last night, but rookie running backs, 6 of the top 20 scoring running backs were rookies. Like, this kind of goes back to the theory that you don't have to be a great running backs are basically interchangeable for the most part.
Yeah, and that's why like people got so caught up in Devontae Freeman's talent. It's like, well, you know what? He's going to touch the ball 20 times and he's at home and they have a team total of 26 and he gets goal line carries and he plays in the passing game. It's like, how good does he really have to be? I mean, these guys are NFL players. I think at the running back position is one place where we can always sacrifice talent for opportunity. And maybe that's not coming to fruition with Thomas Rawls, but I think in the long run, if we target these guys that are just going to touch the ball a ton, regardless of their quote unquote talent, I don't pretend to know who is like the best running back in the league and who's mediocre. Like Devontae Freeman looks pretty good to me. And if I know he's getting 20 touches, I'm on it. I know, you don't like guys, Dave, that get 20 touches at home as a favorite with a team total of 26 and stuff like that.
Stop it right now. Oh man, you almost had a Seattle interception. But no, I typically am opportunity over talent. Like, that's just, I preach it a lot as far as it's very similar theme for basketball. Anyone that says that minutes does not equal anything for daily fantasy, I'm not sure they know what they're talking about.
No, minutes equal money.
Hey, there you go. It's a good tagline. Minutes equal money. We got a lot of money on board or on hanging in the balance. That's what I was trying to say. Hanging the balance tonight as you get a long ball. Calvin was open for a brief second. It just seems like that Calvin Stafford connection has not been there at all this season.
Mhm.
Like this is like one of the first times they've really thrown downfield. In the past, they just did this thing where they throw it up and he goes and gets it. You think it's just that he's old now?
Maybe. I mean, we saw a lot of these really talented big wide receivers change into slot possession receivers as they cross 30 years old, like Larry Fitzgerald comes to mind. Andre Johnson before he really hit the wall this year. Hines Ward kind of was never really downfield threat, but he was kind of dominating out of the slot there as he got older. So maybe that's a good role for Calvin. But if you look at like how far down the field they're targeting him this year, it's like pathetic, like way, way, way below his career norms, like half of it. So yeah, maybe he's just #old. He's had a lot of knee and ankle issues over the last few years. He says he's healthy now, but it definitely doesn't look good.
And this
I would say too, this is a really hard spot. I mean, I wouldn't. It's like the Bears. People are like, "Oh, the Bears are the worst team in the world." Well, they were playing at Seattle, who was 0-2, getting Cam Chancellor back. It's like an impossible spot. I would be more likely to throw out games like that than to count them.
Yeah, and you have this Seattle defense only has allowed 3 points. However, this is a miserable sweat for anyone that has Seattle's defense. No interceptions, no fumbles recovered, no sacks. Their only points is from like points against. And so if there's 4 more points scored, then they go down another, I think, 2 or 3 points. So that's big when you're talking about a limited range.
Yeah. They didn't have very many sacks last week. Did they end up with any? But they got the shutout last week, so they still got 18.
Yeah, they got the shutout, and you have, if they get up big enough, like Stafford is on tap for at least 1 interception, maybe even 2, and maybe even one of them is a pick 6. So we do have a sweat going on tonight. We're at halftime right now, so we're gonna say goodbye, so long, farewell to Mr. Levitan. And you can catch Adam on the Daily Fantasy Football Edge podcast. Bam, nailed it. Got it that time. And also on the matchups breakdown and on the DK playbook. And special thanks to Adam for joining us in the first half on the Monday Night Sweat Show. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this with Andrew Wiggins.
Oh, man, I cannot wait to go over there and get... What? We're still going here? Are you serious? Oh, man. What else do you want? We've gone about 4,000 miles. We've talked to team after team. By the way, how cool is this DraftKings Lounge? Check this out here in the Cowboys Stadium. All right, if you want to know, guys, we have interviewed player after player, coach after coach. I had the best time on this tour. I really did. But check out some of the other highlights of some of the biggest names in the NFL. Stop by the Glaze Across America DraftKings Tour Bus.
You've got to be kidding me. Oh my gosh.
Holy Toledo, man.
Who gave you permission
What?
to put my picture on the side of this bus?
Dude, are you serious with a fireplace right now?
Are you serious?
Well, I'm so serious.
I don't think you're licensed to handle this vehicle. You like the bus?
Welcome
What do you
to my
think?
bus. Oh, is
Welcome
it
to
your
your
bus?
bus, that's it. TVs, right?
Good setup.
All right, sit your butt down with me, man. Why are you still doing this?
Because I love it. I love it. I love it. The competitive part of it. I love that part of it. In the back of your mind, there's always the idea of, being a champion once again.
I think it's a completely fresh start. Obviously, a change of scenery, completely different system. It's just exciting to be in an offense that gives the quarterback so many options.
You don't turn it on until you start getting your butt kicked a little bit.
But you kind of want to take that first hit because it's been since January, February since I've been hit last. Johnny's done a great job. I think he's in a great place personally, which has allowed him to be in a much better place professionally.
Where have you taken the biggest jump from when you came into now?
You learn a lot of football. You really do. Every year, especially that rookie year, second year, third, you learn a lot.
Last year's team wasn't good enough relative to the standard we've set and our expectations. And all of us, starting with me as the head coach, need to be better.
I think the year 3 is a big deal. That we've had the stability coaches in place, a lot of the key players in place here now for 3 years.
You want your receivers, they're all competitive, and they want the ball because they feel like if they get the ball, they can make plays, they're going to help out the team.
So Jimmy was my guy. I mean, Jimmy was like a younger brother to me. But it's not like we have to go out and find the next Jimmy Graham. No, we have to evolve.
I felt for Ray. I think we all felt for Ray. And we all do a pretty good job of kind of compartmentalizing everything and going out there and doing our job.
You know, he's confident in what he believes in. And he tells us all the time, trust me, I know what I'm doing, trust the process.
He just challenging us to be the absolute best.
One thing about being wise is seeing what other people do and using it yourself.
I've seen terrible leaders win, and I've seen great leaders lose. Right. But what are we saying? The determining factor of all is what? If you win.
We went 4-12 last year, so I mean, we can be worse, but how much worse can we get? We can only go up. So that's how I look at it.
Worst part of training camp?
The time here.
You mean the entire thing?
Yes.
That's it. How great is that? Finishing off in style here in the Cowboys Stadium. Folks, that's it. Jay Glazer, I am taking off DraftKings. Thank you so much for everything. Make sure you play DraftKings all year long. Fox, thank you so much as well. You guys know I absolutely hate flying. I terrorized America in our DraftKings bus. Thanks a lot, folks. Hey, can we change that, by the way, to just say Glaze across America? Where's Jerry and Stephen Jones?
And we are back here at the DraftKings Sweat Show. It is halftime here on Monday Night Football, and we have get the cord in the back. We have Andrew Wiggins with us for special halftime show. You might know Andrew Wiggins not as the basketball player, but as Maka Supa, the guy that loves the spoon. You know what I'm saying, Andrew?
I know exactly what you're saying. We're working on the basketball game a little bit too.
Yeah. Do you play pickup?
No.
What are you working on?
Well, you know, I like to shoot around a little bit. I don't ever play pickup because I'm pretty bad, to be honest.
Oh man.
You're picking my story apart by asking follow-up questions.
Sorry. Sorry, you didn't have to throw that in there, but you did. All right. So do you have anything riding on this game?
Generally speaking, I want what's been happening to continue. I did have some tournament sweats maybe if Russ went totally crazy, but he's not. So I think that ship has probably sailed. I was one of the higher teams up that had Russ and Jimmy stacked in the Millie. I think there were 3 people ahead of me. So I had kind of an outside shot at maybe sneaking to the top 10 if things really went wild, but I needed to get 50 points out of them combined, and I just don't think that's going to happen now.
Yeah, this is it's almost like what we kind of expected from this game, just kind of an ugly game. And when you look at it, you've got Chipotle in 4th place, sweating a team defense. And Seattle, no sacks, no interceptions, no fumbles recovered, and the only points they have is for points against. And again, a field goal or a touchdown rather, and that goes down even more. And you also have a John Baldwin owner who is basically 11 or 12 points away from taking over. I think 12 points away from taking over that Millie spot.
It wouldn't be the first time that Doug Baldwin won somebody $1 million. The King of the Beach last year was won with Baldwin stacked with Russell Wilson, but it was actually that Baldwin touchdown at the end that I think put him in first. So maybe we'll see that again tonight.
And it is Doug Baldwin. I said John Baldwin.
You did say John. I was just going to let it slide.
I know, but you did what pro, like, I feel like we've got that pro announcer team vibe to us because like that's what they do. They don't correct. They just say the correct name. So the person who messed up just feels like an idiot.
Yeah. And then that person always feels the need to correct themselves just so that people don't think that they're an idiot. But hey,
giving away all the secrets here on the show. You've got Thomas Rawls, who some people thought they were being smart by putting them in lineups, and he's not doing good at all.
I thought he was a pretty sharp play. If you kind of read the tea leaves, it seemed like Marshawn was going to be out, and I thought if he was, the Rawls would be doing a lot more. Fred Jackson had a pretty nice catch. Fred Jackson actually looked pretty spry considering he's 34 years old. There's still half a game of football left, so I try not to overreact. If I did every time on Sunday, like when you get to the halftime of the first round of games, like if you panicked every time, then it's not good. I've had so many times where just crazy things have happened in the second half, and maybe that happens here. But I'm definitely surprised at the Seattle defense. And I think they played okay. It's just that Detroit's played awfully conservatively. They haven't really taken many shots. And they've done a lot of quick handoffs where Amir's gotten hit in the backfield for a loss, but they haven't really had a lot of opportunities to get sacks because of those quick handoffs.
All right. As far as some of the injuries that happened yesterday, when you talk about Andrew Luck coming out, do you think that Matt Hasselbeck was a sharp play?
I think that he was probably a little too expensive. Given it's really the pricing's all relative. So if the quarterback prices were higher, then maybe he would have been in play. But you had other guys like Derek Carr. I don't remember who else, but even Tyrod was only 5,800, and I think Hasselbeck. I don't even know if he was minimum. Was he min or like 51? It doesn't matter. There was other guys that were, I thought, much better plays that weren't much more expensive. So I didn't really think Hasselbeck was in play.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Hasselbeck is that it took people off of Moncrief, and then it made people want to play more Jags, maybe even like Jags defense and Gore. But they're saying now that he has a separated shoulder, slightly separated, but no structure damage. So it's a little bit worse than when they said he's questionable. Oh, then a bruise. Well, then separated shoulder. That's nothing to mess around with.
No, it doesn't sound good. It's kind of weird because it sounded like he was going to play. The line for the game was up. When the Thursday night game started, there was still a line, and the line, it was a 9.5 point spread. So all indications were that he was going to go. And usually that's what you want to look at. If there's kind of something up in the air, go take a look and see what the line is, because that's where people that know a lot, the money will move things. So I thought he was going to play, and then it came out that night that he was looking a lot more questionable. I think Pete's best friend, Schefter, broke that news. And then, of course, they pulled the line down, and then we didn't know until Sunday morning. So right now we're still kind of in that limbo. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays, but I wouldn't be surprised if he misses another week or two as well. It's just kind of tough to say.
Yeah, you had TJ Yeldon, who went for 15.9. Carlos Williams, 16. We're talking about rookie running backs. David Johnson, 18. What's it going to take for David Johnson to get a full-time role there in Arizona?
Well, he had 10 targets, so he was pretty involved. He had a fumble that he lost, I'm pretty sure. But it's clear that they're trying to get him the ball, even if he's not getting all the rush attempts. I know Ellington, we thought he was going to be back, and he ended up being late and active, but I would assume he'll be back next week, so that just throws another wrinkle into the whole situation. But I'd expect them to keep trying to feed him in open space so he can show off that explosive speed that he has.
Alan Hearns, we talked about it was Allen Robinson or Alan Hearns for the Jacksonville offense, and this week it was all the Hearns. Touchdown, 116 receiving yards, 11 catches, and the bonus for 31.6 points.
Pretty nice game.
Yeah, that's a nice game. Definitely got a little bit lucky, but this is not the first time that someone has had a good game on the Colts defense. All right. So going into next week, have you looked at salaries? Do you think this week has affected your strategy, or are you kind of the mindset that each week you need to be flexible and not let I feel like this week was a little bit of an outlier as far as just a really weird week.
Yeah, I think there'll be some opportunities for some of the guys that we thought were good plays this week that were heavily owned that didn't really show up. I think especially when the public gets on people heavy and then they let them down, there's kind of like a sour taste in their mouth. So they go the other direction. And like the Packers, for instance, probably a lot of people watch that game too because it was one of the 4 afternoon games. And they were definitely the highest owned team of the week. they don't have a great matchup, but they do go back home. They're always really good at home. So that's the team I'll be looking at. Julio Jones, of course, I think people will still be on him because he's back at home in a pretty good matchup. So I don't know if he'll certainly be on next week than this week. And then the other guy who has kind of been good one week, bad the next is Greg Olsen. The targets weren't quite there this week, but it was a fluky game. They had the short field like every time. So I think Cam only threw for 115 yards or something wild. So Greg Olsen should be week in and week out a good play, and maybe he'll go a little bit under-owned in the tournaments next week.
What about CJ Spiller?
I mean, Ingram's still getting a lot of touches there. Obviously, Spiller had the 80-yard reception at the end to win the game, but I think he only had 5 or 6 targets, and Ingram had 6 targets. So if they're going to continue to let Ingram get all those targets in the passing game, that definitely hurts Spiller. I mean, they keep saying they're going to use Spiller more. I think he had a couple carries, but Ingram had 23 touches. So I don't know. I'd probably stay off Spiller, and I think Ingram, as Drew Brees still looked like he wasn't 100%, but another week maybe he's closer. Maybe that offense starts clicking, and Ingram could have some really nice games.
How much do you pay attention to coaches talking? Like, do you feel like I feel like for the most part we need to filter it out, but sometimes there is, like, if you read the Marshawn Lynch situation correctly, like, you knew when they say something came up in an MRI, like, he probably wasn't going to be playing this week.
Yeah, I think it depends on the coach and also the situation. Like Lynch, you can look at last week too. Both these games are double-digit spreads in Seattle, so they just don't really need him. And like some teams will just ignore that and they won't do the smart thing. But I think Seattle's a pretty smart organization. It didn't really make sense for them to play Lynch either of these games, or at least if he did play, like against Chicago, he didn't need to go, play every snap. So when you get a quote like that and you're looking at the line, it's a 10-point spread. I think you could kind of get to the conclusion that he probably wasn't going to go. And you had just other things like Schefter, I think, tweeted out a DraftKings lineup where he had Rawls in his lineup. So you can see little things like that. You're like, okay, well, somebody in the know seems to think Rawls is a pretty good play. So maybe that means he knows something that we don't. And now some of the other coaches like John Fox, who just says like nothing all the time, that can be really frustrating. So you don't want to read too much into that. And it's like the Bears, you think that they should be trying to lose games right now because the season's a lost season already. Yet they got, Cutler ended up playing. I would have preferred that he didn't play as a Bears fan, but hey, it is what it is.
So you want the Bears to tank, basically.
Yeah, I'd like to get the number 1 overall pick.
Why? You have Jay Cutler back and healthy.
Yeah. He threw it. It's like he's got a quota of crushing interceptions. He's got to throw 1 a game. He did it again this game late in the game, but somehow they still were able to eke out a win, which, I had a bunch of Raiders on my team, and I want the Bears to lose. So that second half was not fun.
Oh, yeah, it was bad. And plus, as a Latavius Murray and Amari Cooper didn't really do anything.
Cooper had 0 catches in the second half of that game.
Yeah, was brutal. And, and even Forte, like, it didn't really do too much in the second half, just got a bunch of yards.
The second half, it was just weird, and the Oakland offense just kind of stalled out. It was a crappy game.
All right, so as far as the Eagles' offense, did that second half with all those long passes, like, seemed like Bradford, something finally clicked with him? Does that inspire you a little more to play any Eagles, or is it so unpredictable? I mean, when Riley Cooper and Miles Austin are the ones catching your touchdown passes, that means that like Jordan Matthews, DeMarco Murray, those guys are going to be tough to play in cash games.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the one constant there was that Jordan Matthews was going to be heavily targeted and always have a bunch of catches. And if you look at the box score, their leading receiver had 3 receptions. And there was like a bunch of guys with 2 or 3 receptions and nobody more than 3. So that's a little alarming for DFS. You could probably target them in tournaments, but I'd be careful playing them in cash. We just don't really know what's going on there. And I think they're going to start clicking at some point. If you look back to last year, the Eagles were really struggling early. They had difficulty with the run game, line issues like they have this year. And then they really started getting things going later on. So I think that Chip Kelly will figure it out, but I'll probably be waiting until they have a good game or two, and then I'll jump in.
You've got the Seattle offense, again, did not convert. And so back to Detroit, and where Chipotle Attic has a real sweat. Is there a worse thing than sweating a team defense, Andrew?
No. That's bad. Unless you get a pick six. I've seen a lot of times where these tournaments have come down and somebody needed a pick six and it ends up happening. And Stafford's certainly a guy to do it, especially if they're down and maybe Seattle gets another touchdown here and Detroit gets a little bit more pass happy. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but it's tough. I always like coming from behind with a good skill player and just hoping that they take care of business.
And I was wrong. That was a second down, not a third down. So they actually did convert to Lockett. So
Lockett's been decently involved so far tonight.
Yeah, and some people, I was wondering if we might have some people that stacked Lockett with the Seattle defense and had a couple of returns and good. But I don't think that the Seattle defense has been good enough, or either has really been good enough for that to be a huge difference. But I guarantee you that some people like what we call the double dip, as far as I think Peter said it maybe first, but where you get the team defense and the returner, so you get double the points if they do anything. As Russ just takes off, man, he's so fast when he wants to be.
Yeah, he needs to be doing more of that, especially with their line problems. I don't know. I feel like he hasn't been running enough, but
yeah, it seems like it also seems like teams haven't been running their quarterbacks as much this year. Cam Newton, the exception, but Mariota hasn't done anything. They specifically aren't calling running plays for him. And also, we haven't seen a big rushing game out of Tyrod Taylor. I'm still waiting on it.
He did have a 40-yard rush touchdown called back, but he only ran for 12 yards. He really wasn't scrambling a whole lot. He's going to have a game like that, but I was hoping that he'd be running a little bit more. I think that's 2 games in a row where he's ran for 20 yards or less after the first 2 games being around 40 yards. So, brings the floor down a little bit. If you were banking on 40 yards rushing, I don't think you can do that with him anymore.
Yeah, definitely. And you have that wide receiver situation. People that thought no Alshon Jeffrey and no Sammy Watkins meant all the Charles Clay and Bennett were rewarded this week, because definitely not having those wide receivers and their price on DraftKings was manageable, where it opened up a lot. Unfortunately, opening up a lot wasn't the way to go this week. Just dropping down to one of those guys to get Julio may not have worked out.
Nope.
It was all about the garbage time, and it was all about avoiding some of those high-priced guys. Your thoughts on just garbage time, how it affects DFS? Because I know you've been on both sides of that.
Yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. And sometimes you pick guys knowing that maybe they'll pile on some stats in garbage time, but generally those guys are on crappier teams that aren't scoring as much. So I prefer to look at the guys on the teams that are going to score a lot of points, hopefully putting their opponent into garbage time. But I think it's been kind of a weird 4 weeks to open the season. I know I've struggled to really figure out what was going to happen. And guys that I thought were locks this week, like Julio and Cobb, I just thought were in really good spots, didn't play out. But that's what happens. It's not always going to break your way, and just you keep making good teams, and eventually it will work out, and you'll have that week where everything clicks. So I'm still kind of waiting on that week, but I feel like I'm getting closer.
Yeah, me too. I'm still waiting on the perfect week. This is the second out of 3 weeks, the last 3 weeks that have just been a little weird. As you see, Rawls, I thought he might have been able to break one. But yeah, as far as the weird weeks, I guess that's the unpredictable nature of DFS, and we talk about it being a process. But one of the reasons why it's good to sometimes think like a contrarian.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you faded the Packers in tournaments, you were looking really good. Or if you faded Julio, he was 30% owned, I think, in the Millie Maker. So basically there's 30% of teams right there that are out of contention. So that's what we talk about when you think you have a lock of a play. I mean, even Carlos Williams, what did he end up being on, 40%?
Yeah, and you also had 6. Oh man, Detroit fired up. You had 16% on Freeman, and so that's I felt like Freeman was kind of like a cash game, so to speak, play, and just I mean, sometimes the cash game play goes off, and sometimes they don't. But it's just a matter of like what strategy you want to use, and sometimes it's you fade all but one, or you fade multiple, and hope it works out for you. But it does seem like each week we've seen a different strategy win the Millie.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always going to be different. Every week's different. I mean, last week we had 300 points winning, and this week, I mean, he's at 199, right? He's not even at 200.
Yeah, the winning lineup is at 199.44. I think I had that at halftime last week.
Yeah, it's funny when I try and not sweat the games too hard right away, and I know a lot of other people do the same. So it's like last week you're looking like, oh man, all my guys are going off. You come and check and you're doing nothing. And this week it's kind of the opposite. I came over to my computer after, I don't know, I think it was like halftime of the first games, and I hadn't really been following my teams too closely, and I pulled up my contest, and my currently winning was 375K because I was in, I don't know, I think I had 2 top 10 and one of them in third place. I'm like, oh my gosh. But the problem was I had Julio and Matt Ryan on that team, so I knew it was toast. But it was kind of fun to see that. And I got a few texts too. People like, hey man, you're at the top. But yeah, I was hoping that was a team that had a bunch of people left, and it wasn't.
Yeah, as Seattle kicks a field goal, kickers are the worst. And last night we talked about how we both have a 10-year season-long league that we convinced this year to get rid of kickers.
Yeah, something I got a huge kick out of this week was Cairo Santos, who scored 27 fantasy points, but his whole team only scored 21 points. Yeah. And then just overall, he was one of the highest scoring players of the week. I mean, that's just so silly because it's pretty random when you're picking kicker. So if you happen to have him on your season-long team, like, good for you. But, that's just really dumb luck more than anything.
Yeah, it's so nice not having to sweat kickers. Like, just so nice. Like, sweating kickers is worse than sweating team defenses.
Yeah, I think there's more skill in picking defenses. There's things that you can target. Where kickers, it's like you really just kind of cross your fingers and hope for the best.
The thing with sweating kickers is that like you have to root for them to get in scoring territory, but not score a touchdown.
Right.
So it's like you have to shift mid-drive. You're cheering. I want you to do good, but then I don't want you to do good.
Yeah. So it's nice that DraftKings won't have to worry about that.
Yes, so nice. Those poor kickers, they already catch enough grief. But can you the kickers this year have been absolutely terrible. And like they've got one job, but I have to imagine that the stress that they have, like going out to make a kick, is pretty big. I mean, it's almost like someone. Who's number 22? Is that Fred Jackson? I think Fred Jackson might be out.
Going to the locker room. Too old.
34, man. He's older than you and me.
Yeah, I love Fred Jackson.
He's like Drew's age. Guy is old, so old. All right, let's talk about this upcoming week. As far as some of the games happening, have you looked at salaries yet?
Yeah, just a little.
Do you think that this week you'll be waiting on any news? Like, is there any news that you're waiting on to pop, like around the Friday practice report?
Man, there weren't a ton of injuries this week, and the guys that did get hurt were kind of more the secondary players, like Stevie Johnson type characters. I don't know who the Lions play next week, but if Drake Bell's out again, Abdullah could be a really nice play. He's at least been getting a lot of touches tonight. And then we get a couple guys back from suspension, and Martavis Bryant and Antonio Gates. Be interesting to see how much they're owned. Martavis definitely takes a pretty big hit with Big Ben being out, but he's still going to be a good GPP every week. Kind of like we were talking about last night about how VJax is just like the best GPP of all time because no one ever owns him, and like 3 times a year he goes off.
Yeah, Calvin just dropped a long one.
That would have been a tough catch, but maybe a younger Calvin brings that one down.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said drop, but like you said, younger Calvin definitely would have had that.
So, I don't know. I mean, like Le'Veon Bell is the Monday Night Football game, so I think his ownership will be really high, even though he's on the road and they're dogs. Speaking of dogs, hold on a second while I yell at my dog.
He's going to yell at his dog. So we
I don't know if you could hear him. He wants to go out. So he's just moaning in the background.
All right. Like, what kind of can you imitate? If you imitate your dog's moaning sound, I'd prefer it like groaning. I'll imitate my dog's groaning sound.
Sure. I'm glad you couldn't hear it. I figured you probably could. It's just going like this. It's a bulldog. He makes the most ridiculous noises.
I've got an Amstaff Terrier. They kind of look like pit bulls.
Yep.
And her groan sound is.
Yeah.
And it's like the most annoying thing ever at night. Like when they.
I know he just went out because I took him out before I came on air, so he's just being obnoxious. He just wants attention.
Calvin with another catch, but not enough to get the first down. So it's no Ebron. I mean, they did have 2 targets to Calvin, and if you still have Chipotle Addict sitting in 4th place, like this is just miserable to sweat a defense when they're not sacking, like putting any real pressure on the quarterback, and you're rooting for a punt return or a kick return with Lockett.
Yeah, that's tough. So I think looking forward to this week, one interesting situation is New England because they've been so good, but they're on the road, which isn't ideal. And they get Dallas, who hasn't.
He just muffed it.
Yeah.
And that's actually not good for him, for Chipotle, because that means they get the ball. This is kind of like the situation yesterday when Peyton Manning, like the Broncos did so good, and then Peyton Manning threw that pick at the end of the half, which allowed them to score a touchdown, which wasn't really fair to the Broncos defense because they've been playing so good and he put them in a bad spot. And now you got Lockett.
I had a lot of Broncos D yesterday, so that was frustrating. And there was another pick he threw later that gave him he threw 2 picks that both gave. I think they got a field goal off one, and of course that touchdown at the end of the half when there's no way they would have scored. So that was frustrating. But they did have 7 sacks, and that D is legit. So I think anytime that they're playing at home, that can be strongly considered.
And they're not just legit; they are violent. Like,
yeah,
they have the most violent takedowns, like full body slams, and like watching them, I'm just like, ugh. So now you have the Lions. That's a decent little catch. So even a field goal does not hurt Chipotle Addict.
Well, that was damn near a sack there, but he got it off. I feel like they just kind of run a little bit bad, Seattle defense so far. They've certainly been putting pressure on them. They just haven't had any sacks. That was really close there.
Yeah, and again, 2 sacks puts Chipotle Addict in first place, not just an interception. And you also have, so interception, 2 sacks puts them in first. You also have a field goal by the Lions does not hurt him because it's 1 to 6 points negative. So I wonder if we can bring on Drew at the same time as Andrew. We won't play any DFS feud, but we do have Drew with us.
We're not going to play DFS feud?
No, we're not.
See ya. I'm out of here then. The whole reason I came on.
Do you guys have matching shirts on right now?
No, it's just a Wiggins and Levitan thing.
That is Toads Adorbs.
Same color though. Similar enough. Yeah, I don't know what's up with me and these other guys. I'm having the same outfits as them, but
yeah,
I guess it's me and you next, Dave. So send me a text what you're wearing next Sunday.
I always do.
Just like he does every Sunday.
I beat you, Drew. I beat you so good. Drew, your comment about the point range of Rawls is coming true.
Yeah, I thought there was some risk there.
Yeah.
And I thought it was...
You are too happy right now for me. Like, I can't even deal with it.
Yeah. So I thought Fred Jackson would play a little bit more. Now, Jackson's hurt. But the real story of this game so far, from what I've seen, is just how bad the Seattle offensive line is.
Yeah, you've got it's really almost benefited Russ as far as like his rushing yards because he's scrambling.
Yep. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I liked Russ. I didn't have any cash game exposure to him, but I was considering it. There were just too many cheap quarterbacks I liked. But I have like 40 to 50% in tournaments. He was one of my favorite tournament quarterbacks to go after this week because I thought Detroit has a good enough pass rush that'll force him into some scrambling situations. And without a great running back behind him, they might have to lean on him a little bit more in the goal line area. So this game is playing out kind of how I expected. It's not particularly profitable to me because I don't have any tournament lineups with Russ that are really challenging anything. But I'm not particularly surprised. The Lions they're a train wreck this year.
Yeah, they just threw a jump ball, and just put yourself in Chipotle place as far as like every jump ball that's thrown, you're just like if they catch it, you're screwed. If they intercept it, you're winning $1 million. And still nothing from that defense. So that's definitely the theme of kind of this week about being unpredictable. You had two Seahawks go up for it and kind of bump into each other to take them out of that interception.
And you've said this a lot of times before that like sweating a defense is just really tough. And it's not only because you have the chance at losing points, which you really don't with other players. I mean, you can get a fumble loss or an interception, but it's just 1 point. You can lose lots of points with the defense from the 10 that you start with. But also the fact that they can play really well and it not translate to any fantasy points. And that's hard for a lot of the other positions on the field to do. Like, maybe you have a tight end who's having a great blocking game or whatever, but for most offensive players, if they play really, really well, usually it translates directly to fantasy points. With defenses, sometimes, I heard Andrew mention that Seattle's been kind of unlucky with not getting as many sacks. Sometimes they can play really, really great, and it still doesn't turn into a ton of fantasy points because they're not getting the sacks. They're just getting 3-and-outs and punts, and it seems like that's been the case so far.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about like currently Peter's winning CSU Ram is winning $20,000 in 16th place, but a couple interceptions or a pick six is like a $200,000 swing for him.
Is that the team that he had Ingram on that had the overturned touchdown?
Yes. He would actually be in first place right now.
Oh my gosh.
Don't even say that.
Okay.
Never say that again.
I won't.
Oh, that's
he posted it in Skype chat though.
Yeah. I didn't realize how bad a beat it was, but that's really tough. And I saw some replays that Ingram was not happy with Sean Payton for sending Kerry Robinson out right after that play was overturned. And I can't imagine. Gosh, that's brutal.
Yeah. Definitely brutal as far as like he should have been in the next play. Like if Peyton really valued fantasy football, he would have put him in.
You even value your own players.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be something that's important to them. Like that's an easy one for me if I'm a coach. Like Kyrie's not going to care if he doesn't get that touchdown. He wasn't the one stopped at the goal line or had the touchdown overturned, but Ingram sure is going to care. Like that seems like an easy one from a coaching perspective.
Yeah. It was really baffling. And then the CJ Spiller, like, I forget who was it that said, it was the guy that currently has Baldwin, needing some Baldwin points. He said basically, if Spiller did not get that, like he was hoping for some positive Ingram points on that, which would have helped him and help Pete. If he catches a couple of passes, then he's back up there, like in the top 5.
Yeah, you got to figure an expected point per drive for Ingram is something around like 1.5 to 2.5 points, and every point counts in these big tournaments. So that's tough.
Yeah, you just had a designed play action run for Russ, so they're definitely moving him out of the pocket. And if you have Baldwin, if you get a Baldwin 40-yard touchdown, that's going to put him up at either first or second place. So our sweat tonight has come down to the defense for Seattle and Doug Baldwin catching a long touchdown pass. This guy, MT Whaley, basically he had $300 going into it, and now he's at he had 500. Now he's at 3,000. But any sort of positive Baldwin points, and he goes up with each catch. So
it's unbelievable in this week because it's such a low scoring week. It's more dramatic the moves you can have with small plays because the very top of the leaderboard is lower than we're accustomed to. It makes everything even more congested in the overall standings. So legitimately, every single catch is probably going to mean lots of dollars for somebody who has, an offensive player in this game. It's such a strange week on the whole.
And now we have Luke Wilson, I think, with more fantasy points than Jimmy Graham at the moment.
Yeah.
How many L's does Luke Wilson have in his name?
Too many.
Is that a trivia question?
That's a trivia question for you, Socrdave.
3.
Damn it! I thought you'd go for 2, forgetting the Luke, the L in the Luke. But yes, you're correct. 3.
I mean, you kind of know, like, if his name is Luke Wilson and you say, how many L's does he have? It's going to be a trick question, and then just add an extra one in there.
I thought, well, fair. Fine. You're better at trivia than I am.
No, it's not trivia. It's mind games. I'm better at mind games than you are.
You live in my dome. I get it.
I'm in your head, Drew Dinkmeyer. All right. So Drew with a nice haircut and Andrew with a nice hair. We should do a Photoshop competition one day where it's Photoshop each other's hair on as we have. Oh wow, they just got that first down. Incredible.
Matthews, the Super Bowl hero.
Yes. That's the thing about the Baldwin pick is that there's like 6 receivers. There's 6 players. And I feel like even getting 10 points out of Baldwin is probably more than he was expected to have going into tonight because there's just so many options for them.
I just can't believe that they don't try and get the ball to Jimmy more. I don't get it.
The funny thing is they traded an offensive lineman to get Jimmy. So
Right.
like all this stuff that Russ is dealing with right now is because they made the active decision that we'd rather have Jimmy Graham than this, and then they don't really use him. So
it's really bizarre.
Yeah.
Especially
Baldwin is very highly owned in the Monday Thursday slate.
I was just talking to Andrew about this. Like,
I don't have him, and it's making me sad.
Eric, did you have Eric Ebron, or did you go with Graham, or what tight end?
I have Graham.
Yikes! Better than Ebron though. Like he went down, and
Yeah.
some people liked him for tonight. And like you said, in those 2-game slates that are now like really popular, you've got a choice of 4 tight ends, and like if your tight end goes down, it's not like you got the pick of the litter at tight end.
5 if you include Luke Wilson.
If you didn't pick Graham, I have no idea how you spent your cap. That's kind of what I came to the conclusion.
It was a weird slate too with the quarterback situation for Thursday.
Yeah.
You really don't know who would be starting for either team at the moment.
Yeah, Thursday's game is going to be it's like if you play Thursdays a lot of times on DraftKings, like you play to avoid that Thursday night game, and then you can just late swap to something on down the road when more news is clear. But Thursday there might be like, it just seems like with both these teams, there's been lots of garbage time, fourth quarter points. And
Seems
so
like an Arian Foster night, doesn't it?
like, yeah, are they going to be like terrible up until the fourth quarter? Both teams terrible up to the fourth quarter? Something's got to give.
I think Arian Foster's got a really good track record in Cindy, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I don't know how much that really matters right now, but I don't know. Seems like a good spot for him to come out and have a big game.
That scares me because there's so many running backs in good matchups next week that one scares me. And then the Indy running back situation is a little bit unclear because Frank Gore, wasn't healthy at the end of that game. And I know they were bringing in Ahmad Bradshaw to look at him. But Josh Robinson might be a guy that might get a spot start. And then he can Thomas rolls it up for everybody.
Drew. Too soon. Way too soon. How much do you guys value the offensive line when you look at picking your daily fantasy teams? Because you got a situation in Philly as well, where it's just a terrible offensive line, and if if you can't let plays develop, as Rawls gets another first down, if you can't let plays develop, then it's really hard to trust the skilled players.
That's correct.
Yeah, I look at offensive line data early in the season is really hard to get a grip on because you can evaluate each lineman individually, but sometimes the line as a whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that kind of takes time to evaluate over the course of the season. So I think we're seeing that with Atlanta, that early in the season they changed this new blocking scheme and we weren't really sure if they were going to be improved or not, and they've been terrific. I mean, Devonta Freeman has tons of space to run when he's getting these opportunities. And I think as we get further into the season, you just get a better feel for offensive lines on the whole. And I do evaluate it. I think it's really important, especially in understanding kind of how an offense as a whole will flow.
I think it just adds more uncertainty too, because maybe one game it clicks and they're getting good protection and things, especially for teams with good offense. Like Seattle is capable of putting out points. So they're able to string together a game where the offensive line plays well. They could do a lot, but most of the time so far this season, they have not been playing well, and I think that's the huge reason why the offense is struggling so much. So they're good targets in tournaments. Some of those teams that maybe don't have the great lines, but I generally avoid them in cash games because you just don't really know what you're going to get. Like Russ seemed like a good play this week, but it's more of the same.
Yeah, you also have. I was talking to Al Smizzle about now we've got 4 weeks of data compiled for this season. Like there is a decent enough sample size where you can start relying on the data and stop relying on what you think the coach is going to do, for instance.
Yeah, that's my favorite time of the year because I'm not as good at predicting what coaches are going to do as I am at using data to kind of help make decisions. So the further we get into the season, the more I just feel comfortable with things. I'm able to narrow my range of players down considerably that I'm investing in on a given weekend. And I felt that this week. I felt like I had a nice, small, tight range of players that I wanted to attack. Now, most of those players didn't end up performing. It was a strange week. A lot of the high-end guys didn't really perform. But I felt like I evaluated the opportunities correctly. And the further we get into the season, I feel more and more comfortable with that. So I think everybody feels a little bit better when we feel like we have a little bit more certainty around the situations as a whole.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a good point there that it's important to evaluate the process, not really the results. I mean, of course, the results are really important. But hopefully over the course of the season, that'll play out like it should, and especially early on. Look at the decisions you were making, the thought process that went into it, and try and figure out if you made mistakes along those lines. And then, you can worry about the results. But we were talking earlier about, I think this season has just been pretty weird so far. A lot of things that happened that we didn't really anticipate. So for me, I've been looking at, okay, this guy was drafted X percentage. I had him Y. What did I miss there? In particular, looking at the other good players' teams, kind of trying to figure out what they were thinking. And then hopefully if I get that stuff in line, then the results will follow.
Yeah, and to kind of hop on top of that point, I think the other thing that's added a lot of variability early in the NFL season this year is just the challenges we've had at the quarterback position. You've got Drew Brees playing through an injury, maybe battling some age-related decline. It's hard to tell because he's got the shoulder thing. Peyton Manning clearly battling some age-related decline. You've got Andrew Luck, Ben Roethlisberger banged up. You've got Tony Romo out. We've lost a lot of quarterbacks, and so we have a lot of bad quarterbacks playing in the league. And I mean, bad relative to the guys that they're replacing. Obviously, in the world of quarterbacks, they're in the top 40 overall. They're pretty good. But our defenses are so good in the NFL that if you don't have a really elite quarterback, it can muddy things up on the whole. And I think we've seen a lot of that with so many backup quarterbacks playing that we've just lost a lot of the predictability and the flow of offenses because they're trying to change their whole offense, everything that they planned on doing this year to adapt to a less skillful player managing the huddle.
And along those lines, we haven't had the running backs. Last year there was 4 guys you could go to, and you knew you were going to get rock solid production out of Murray, Forte, Le'Veon, and we just haven't really had that so far this year. And maybe we will now that Le'Veon's back. But we had Antonio Brown. Now that's been taken away from us. We thought we had Julio. He proved us otherwise this week. So there hasn't been that one guy you could just start your lineup with every week. And that's been a little bit frustrating, I think.
Yeah, very frustrating. But we are starting to kind of see, as far as Drew, you talked about like the whole, and we're starting to see like secondaries that are weak, like secondaries that you want to target, offensive lines that you may not want to use a quarterback or wide receiver from. Also, defensive lines, like strong defensive lines that you don't want to throw a running back against. So I do think that there is, after 4 weeks of data, you can start kind of composing some of the overall themes for the season and then adjust accordingly, especially when you have guys that are injured or coming back from injury / suspension. Like Monday night, you mentioned it, as far as Big Ben's going to be out, but you do have another offensive weapon. The issue is, can Ben throw it that far where that weapon's going to be effectively utilized?
Yeah, Martavis Bryant coming back, and I know the very few season-long leagues that I play, I have a lot of Martavis Bryant, and so missing him the first 4 weeks of the season has really hurt. But also now getting him back without Ben, with Vic, who's one of the worst fits for Bryant for what he does from a skill set standpoint, is a little bit frustrating. So it'll be interesting to see how the Steelers integrate him into their offense and how many looks he gets, because that we expect that offense as a whole to be passing a little bit less with Vic behind him. But really interesting patterns early in the season with that. I think the other thing that you can start to do if you're attacking these big tournaments is a lot of people are going to look at raw data, and they're going to look at just points allowed and yards allowed and different things like that. But if you look at adjusted data for the opponents that teams have played, like some teams have played a really soft schedule early on. And I think we saw that with Arizona this weekend. Their first 3 opponents were New Orleans, the Bears, and then I'm forgetting the third opponent that was really weak as well that they kind of blew out. And then they play St. Louis, a pretty good defense, and their offense gets derailed a little bit. Like they weren't quite as efficient as they were early in the season. So I think there's opportunities for tournament players to take advantage of people just relying on raw data and not adjusting it for opponent.
Again, you have Stafford getting out of it with a little pitch, like no sacks.
Are you kidding me? Oh, that was so dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, Matthew Stafford isn't concerned about danger. I'll tell you that much. That's not a thought that's running through his head on that field.
There are a couple people sweating this game in the Millie Maker that are a little bit concerned about that. My gosh, that could have been a big swing there.
Yeah, you've got Cam Chancellor that just wants to return one to the house so bad.
I cannot believe that the Seahawks only have 7 points right now.
Yep. But they are going to be in a good position. And when you say Seahawks, you mean the
defense.
The defense. We only talk in terms of fantasy on here.
Yeah. All right. You have to reorder for the season. Let's go top 5 wide receivers. Number 1 for you guys. Who's the overall wide receiver for you guys?
What's Julio?
Number 2.
I'm just looking at. Probably Beckham Jr.
I'll go with that. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Normally it would be Antonio Brown, but with the questionable quarterback situation, I'd go Beckham as well.
It'd be nice with Antonio. We didn't see it this week. It'd be interesting if he took a big hit on his price and got him down into like the high 7s, how people would react to that. Because I think right now no one's going to touch him, and nor should you at his price.
I think Demarius, for me, would be number 2. I know he's got Peyton throwing him the ball, but
their schedule gets a lot better.
Their schedule gets better. He does get a lot of targets. Seems like he's the guy that Peyton's going to now with a noodle arm and not Manny Sanders. So I would put Demarius at number 2, and like Odell still hasn't had that real big breakout game that we've been waiting on from him.
He's San Fran at home this week, so watch out.
Yeah, he could. It seemed like he got injured trying to throw a block. And
he did, but he got up. He was down for like 10 seconds. He got up and was fine. I think somebody else got hurt on the play that maybe wasn't okay, but it seemed like he was fine. I don't think there's any concern there. He stayed in the game.
Yeah, I can't even recall like how I was watching him play, and it looked like he just like fell. Like there wasn't even. It just seemed like he's being dramatic. Just
Maybe so.
typical Odell. All right, number 3 wide receiver for you guys.
Probably Randall Cobb.
That's where I was going to go. Cobb and Beckham to me is 2-3.
No, Drew, you're being
Cobb's safer, but I think Beckham's upside is a little bit more than Cobb.
cool. Drew's being like the original one tonight. So I'm just gonna ask Wiggins what his rankings are, because I know that if I ask Wiggins, I'll then get Drew's.
Well, then, I mean, I haven't said Demaryius yet, so I'd put him in there. But my biggest concern with him is that I don't think I've seen Peyton lead him on one ball all year. All of his catches, he's coming back to it and beating out like 2 guys in a jump ball, which is fine. He's capable of doing that. But when he had some really big games last year, he was breaking like 7-yard touchdowns. And maybe he can take a bubble screen and do that. But I'd rather see his quarterback have the ability to actually lead him with the pass. And I'm not really sure Peyton has that. The volume should be there. And then after those guys, I mean, it's kind of a drop-off.
I mean, Antonio Brown is going to be back like as a top 3 wide receiver, but you just have to wait till Big Ben gets back.
Yeah. I would go DeAndre Hopkins at number 4.
Yeah,
he just gets all the honks. So many honks every week. 22 honks this week. The Falcons as a team, his opponent had 27 honks. It's a lot of honks.
Drew, you said honks 7 times, so go ahead, tell people what honks are if they don't know.
Honks is the new word for targets, because earlier today I tweeted a video of The Count from Sesame Street counting honks up to 20, and I said this is why people should be playing DeAndre Hopkins in DFS, because of all the honks.
He did have, I think, 1 catch for 10 yards at halftime or something like that. So
all the garbage time.
There's definitely risk there. I'm not sure the quarterback really matters. We don't know who's going to be the quarterback. I do like him a lot. And do you think Foster coming back helps him or hurts him? I think it probably helps him slightly, but maybe mostly neutral.
I think it's mostly neutral, because I think the quality of the honks will be much stronger. So I think with better honks, he won't need as many honks to be as effective.
All of the honks. I don't know if you saw Russ just play with the defense on the last drive, but he did go to a pass. If he would have had the pass on the money, Baldwin would have got a lot of points. So instead, he goes to Jimmy Graham.
Hey, Jimmy Graham!
Jimmy Graham signing. So now we have MT. Let's see if I can find him on here. He's in 38th place now. So he's at 12.6 with 191.94. So there we go. And yeah, 12.6 points. Every catch counts. So I'm guessing that they were just on that pass where Russ broke loose, that they were.
I mean, the amazing thing is it's not only the ability to get up to first, but a catch or 2 in its top 10, and it's a huge jump in money. It's just the standings are so tightly congested tonight. It's really, really wild.
All right. So
do we think third place is Ramon Sessions? Our Sessions? NBA season's right around the corner. It would make me happy if it was Ramon Sessions.
No, it's not Ramon Sessions. Although it does get me a little excited, Drew, if we're being honest. Oh, we got a fumble, and Detroit recovered. So I tell you what, guys, we're gonna take a break from you two. I need a break. It's not me, it's you. We're gonna take a break from you two, and then what we'll do is, do you want to go to a break?
Break would be nice.
Okay, yeah, okay. So we'll go to a break, and after we come back from the break, we'll try to get Chipotle Addict back on. And we haven't even had any Chipotle-themed questions. Drew, I have a feeling that your take of Chipotle is going to be it's way overrated.
No, I go to Chipotle once a week.
Oh, look at you.
Every Tuesday. Chipotle day.
You're such an old man. All right, so we're gonna take a break. We'll be back, and then we'll go to Chipotle Addict, and then I'll be back with the other these two guys, Drew Dinkmeyer and Andrew Wiggins. So stick around. We'll be right back after this.
Hey guys, Peter Jennings here with my top 5 NFL defenses of fantasy football at DraftKings.com. At number 5, I have the St. Louis Rams. They're one of 3 teams in the NFC West that made my list. I love what they've done with the defensive line. They added Nick Fairley to the already stacked defenses of first-round picks. I think Greg Williams is going to have a lot of options here, and they should be one of the best defenses in all of football. Moving to number 4, I have the Miami Dolphins. They made a huge splash with Ndamukong Suh on a $114 million contract. I think he's the difference maker, and I think they could be the best defense in the AFC. At number 3, I have the Arizona Cardinals. I absolutely love this team. They're another NFC West team on my list, and I think Patrick Peterson and the Honey Badger make an incredible secondary. Patrick Peterson's one of my favorite guys. I think he'll score a ton of fantasy points for you this year on the defensive side, and I also got to play golf with him this year. At number 2, I have the Jets. New York Jets, I know they're not a great offensive team, but they will make up for it with an incredible defense. They brought in a lot of guys, including Darrelle Revis and their first-round pick, Leonard Williams. They could be the best defense in football, and they definitely have a chance to compete in every game with this defense. At number 1, no surprise here, the Seattle Seahawks make the top of my list. They have so much talent in that secondary. Richard Sherman is an elite shutdown corner, and they play an incredible style of play, which should lead to a lot of fantasy points. So those are my top 5 defenses of the 2015 NFL season. Let me hear yours in the comments below. For more, subscribe to DKTV.
Everyone knows DraftKings makes more millionaires than anyone else. And this NFL season, we'll be handing out a whole lot more big checks. Start planning your epic victory celebration by checking out some of the guys who set the bar on $1 million celebrations last NFL season. Eitan Jankowicz. The sweat for the top spot in the $2.5 million King of the Beach tournament was tense, but Kobe for MVP played it cool, watching his team, led by Russell Wilson and CJ Anderson, work its way up the leaderboard. But it was Doug Baldwin and his fourth quarter TD that cemented Kobe as the one true king of the beach. Drew Dinkmeyer, DKTV's own Dink Piece, found himself in contention to win the Week 15 Millionaire Maker thanks to huge performances from Jeremy Hill, Des Bryant, and ODB. But it was during Monday night's Saints-Bears game, when Dink was live on DKTV's Sweat Show, that Marquise Wilson's fourth quarter TD catapulted Dink into first. Infamous celebrations ensued. Dave and Rob Gomes. Now they're the faces of a national TV commercial. But back in Week 11 in 2014, the Gomes brothers were just 2 guys in the middle of one epic sweat. Thanks to strong Sundays from Aaron Rodgers and A.J. Green, they were in contention in the Millie Maker heading into Monday night. That's when Jonas Gray of their hometown New England Patriots went absolutely nuts, scoring 4 TDs, launching the $1 million celebration that would soon live on in infamy. How will you celebrate your big win this season? Share in the comments below. And for more, subscribe to DKTV.
Okay, here's what you need to know to start winning real cash prizes playing one-day fantasy esports at DraftKings. Whether you browse on your computer or on the free mobile apps, the game's the same. First, select your contest. Browse the featured lobby or view all esports contests. Choose from many marquee tournaments, head-to-heads, and beginner-friendly contests. Pick your contest and you're ready to draft. For all League of Legends contests, you'll draft 1 top laner, 1 jungler, 1 mid laner, 1 AD carry, 1 support, 2 flex players, which can be any of the 5 roles, and a team. Your goal is to build the best 8-man roster under the $50,000 salary cap. Each eligible player from that day's games is assigned a salary. They'll earn you points for kills, assists, objectives, and more. Once your lineup is complete, click submit, and that's it. Track your team online or on our free mobile app to watch your squad rack up points in real time. And when the last game is over, bask in your own drafting genius as your winnings are automatically credited to your account. More sports, more winnings, more millionaires. It's a whole new season every week at DraftKings.
And we are back. Here we have a Chipotle Addict with us. Chipotle Addict currently in fourth place with probably the most miserable sweat that I can remember in a long time.
I'm jumping in here too, can I?
It's okay. So, all right, is that your brother?
Hey, how's it going? I just got here. This is the famous Big Papa Gates. He's over.
Oh, Big Papa
Very
Gates.
famous.
Yeah, very nice. Big. I did not know. This is like blowing my mind right now that Big Papa Gates,
Dude, big news in the industry right here.
and Chipotle Addict
News.
are brothers. What
Yeah.
in the heck?
Let the industry know.
Okay.
Look on it.
Okay, so I need to know then, Big Papa Gates or Chipotle Addict, better DFS player.
Who's got a chance at the Millionaire?
Oh, very nice. So which one got into daily fantasy first?
Same time. He actually kind of gave me a little kick I needed to get in there, but we started at the same time at the beginning of football season last year.
Okay, and as far as you guys sweating tonight, this is like a terrible sweat because Seattle's defense is so good, but they're not getting like any points for sacks or interceptions.
They're not doing anything for us. It's like we grew up a lot of us told you, we grew up in Michigan, so we've been watching Stafford throw picks like 3 times a game.
Yeah, he's good for 1 pick six a night.
Yeah, exactly. So this is pretty miserable.
The only reason I'm up here is because of garbage time, so I'm hoping it's the garbage time storyline that comes through for us.
You know what? And that could be it.
That could be it.
Especially you guys being Lions fans, like the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's where we do our work. That's where we turn the ball over repeatedly.
But all you need is like just 2 sacks, like just back-to-back sacks. Interception.
Yeah, it's not that hard, right? I've been telling people that all night, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to be that easy.
All right. So I'm just blown away. Right now we have Chipotle Addict and his brother, Big Papa Gates. So Big Papa Gates, where do you live?
I'm from Chicago. He called me about 3 p.m. saying that he had more of a chance than he originally thought. And I was like, well, why don't we discuss this last night? So I jumped in the Uber. Literally 2 minutes later, I have like 1 pair of extra socks in my bag. Jumped in an Uber, got here, got to the airport 20 minutes before my flight. Apparently, you can't get on the flight when you do that. It's just pretty frustrating. So then I sat in the airport for 2 hours and finally got on the next flight. And I just took a Uber all the way from Raleigh, which is like an hour and a half away, to get here for the fourth quarter. So hopefully it pays off for us.
You took a 90-minute Uber ride?
As long as we're going to get here on time.
Okay, so they better get an interception because that right there is like 1% of the million.
Let's go. 1%'s out here.
How much was that Uber ride?
I haven't checked, but the estimate was like $77 to like $100. So
okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, if it was a cab, it'd be twice that. So we'll take
it. $100 Uber ride, especially.
This buddy pays me back. Ooh, injury.
Yes. Okay. So do you guys let's go back to the brother theme. Do you guys prepare lineups with each other as far as like go over who you like, who you don't like? Because both of you are pretty big, high stakes players.
Yeah, we talk a lot of strategy together, but we kind of go our own ways as far as actual lineups. So kind of like earlier in the week, we kind of talk strategy, and then we kind of go our own ways and make our own lineups.
Yeah. As far as like favorite sport, do you guys feel like your strengths are equal with the sports, or is one good at one sport and the other at another sport?
No, I mean, I feel like we both kind of have the same strengths. I feel like we are both strongest in football and basketball, and baseball was kind of rough for us.
Baseball wasn't that fun.
Yeah, I'm tweeting out right now. Hope you guys don't mind that Big Papa Gates and
shot the industry right here.
are brothers.
I know that one. I don't think one person knows me ever, so I don't think it's gonna shock too many people.
Yeah,
It's gonna
no.
shock me in this truth.
Okay, it's time for me to come clean because Big Papa Gates, I've taken a head-to-head of yours before.
Ooh, I'm coming for you.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't. If I would have known you were related to Chipotle Addict, it wouldn't have happened.
I actually remember. There's a $500 one. I think. I was like,
Yeah,
Dave's trying to throw down here. Interesting. I think I don't remember who won it. Do you?
We've gone back. I mean, I think we've played and we got auto matched on a few high stakes games. So we'll have to go back and look at it. But honestly, like if I would have to me, it's all about like the name, right? And so
we've had this discussion so many times.
Like Big Papa Gates, I was like, oh. This is like my dad trying to play daily fantasy. Like I would have.
I knew that. Oh my gosh, we discussed that. I was trying to go for more like, oh, fish, come and get me, because like I'm Big Papa Gates. I'm like a cocky come and get me. But it went the opposite way.
Yeah, no, and I've talked to other people too about Big Papa Gates, and they're like, they had the same thought. Is like it's so weird. Like
I'm changing my screen name. I'm changing it to Shark Poker Player 1122.
Yeah, you need an intimidating screen name like Soccer Dave. So, all right. So what happens? Like, are you guys just wanting the defense to get on the field as soon as possible so there can be as much that could possibly happen to get points?
At this point, there's no one behind us that's too much of a threat to take over first place. So it feels like it's mostly we just need to hope to get our 2 points, and probably nothing else matters.
Yeah.
But also, we need 2 points to get into first, and 1 point doesn't do us any good. So, as long as we get into first, then if someone passes us and we get second, I can deal with that. But fourth is kind of.
Yeah, we don't want fourth. We want at least second.
Yeah, and I don't want to burst your bubble but there is a Baldwin play here.
I did see that, but
so
no, it's already kind of a long shot. So we're
okay.
Kind of.
I know. I just want to get you prepared.
Oh no, we're prepared.
Baldwin touchdown,
a long touchdown pass would not be.
Yeah, but the difference between fifth and fourth isn't really a big deal, so I don't really care about that at this point.
You have Detroit that
just wait, is that point allowed or no?
No, it does not count against you.
All right. I was wondering about that on the way over because I was like, I don't think it does, but
you got the wrong team scored the wrong.
That hurts our chance at garbage time, though.
We should have switched to Lions D. That's an easy play.
Yeah. If you would have switched, that was the contrarian play.
You actually hit a team back there in 30th. I wonder if you would have switched if that would have made any
I checked. It was 30 points behind. I actually have some in the qualifiers that have a chance.
Oh man! So
you had a team 30th that had the same Seattle. I was wondering if we should switch to the Lions with one of them, but probably not. Lions is not that great.
Maybe you have another chance for Lockett to redeem himself, because that's the other part. That's other part of this equation is that it's not just the defense; it's also the special teams, right? As far as returning, Lockett is very potent, and he almost screwed you with that muff.
Yeah, he did.
You don't want them to put him in a bad spot. And also, I'm not sure if you watch closely, but if that lineman doesn't get to the end zone and gets tripped up at the 5, that would also have.
Oh, that's true. You gotta be there. We'll take that.
Put you in a bad spot. So.
That is. I kind of forgot about that too.
So
look on the bright side.
Yeah, good look on the bright side, and you're still in 4th place, and you need. A sack doesn't really do anything for you.
Yeah, we need a pick.
I do have two chances at qualifiers, so 1 point would be huge. We would take a point too. We'll take anything we can get. We'll take 1 point.
Okay.
We won't complain.
All right. So we're definitely going to be coming back to you guys when Seattle or when Detroit gets on offense, because we want to see we want to see this $1 million interception live. Would be epic. Yeah,
it's
so
basically turned upside down, or it does. So monitors might get swiped to the side. The line's just gonna get broken if that happens.
yeah, no, we'll be all about it. So again, breaking news: Big Papa Gates and Chipotle Addict are brothers. We'll be back with them later, guys. Thanks for coming on, and man, good luck the rest of this fourth quarter.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
So that was unexpected. As far as them being brothers, and again, I felt kind of bad because I've picked up a few head-to-head games of Big Papa Gates, and it just goes back to like the name. Like Big Papa Gates. Well, this guy is like a dad who doesn't know much about fantasy, so I'll take one of his high-stakes games, and good stuff. That was fun. You can tell though. Like the fact that he was called at 3 p.m. in Chicago and immediately like hopped in a car, like they know this is a very real sweat. He also took a 90-minute Uber ride to the to Greensboro. If you're not familiar with that area, there's like all these different. There's like 2 different set of tri-cities, and it's basically all these cities in North Carolina are within an hour to hour and a half of each other. So. Good for them to get there. As far as I'm reading the chat, people are just blown away by Big Papa Gates and Chipotle Addict being brothers. So yeah, that's cool though. 2 high stakes guys. 2 high stakes guys being brothers. And again, kind of crazy on that last play. You have, if he gets tripped up at the 5 or 10 yard line, then you have a good chance at a Detroit offensive touchdown, which would then cut those points down. Now you have all the Rawls, like they're going to be basically trying to milk this clock, but not be too careful this league. But they're not going to be airing it out. Like I'd say the chance for a Baldwin catch is it maybe a little bit less, or maybe it's a little bit more actually, because it's now a game. Like they don't have to run the ball as much. I don't know. But let's go to Matt Whaley right now. We've been back and forth with Matt, and I know he's sweating Doug Baldwin like crazy. Matt, are you there? All right. We're going to see. Okay, Matt, how much did that last drive hurt where they were scrambling and almost had a Baldwin catch?
Oh, that was like a $10,000 difference.
Yeah.
A drop or a missed throw. But
yeah. Like the evasion.
I was hoping the lineman would stop on like the 2 or the 3, and then they'd score. Because then at least some of those guys with the Seattle D would drop back.
Right, and now you have a situation where it's a close game, and they did not convert on third down. Like you're wanting obvious passing situations for Baldwin.
Yeah.
Right. So what's the mood like there? Because he did get another catch, and you have moved up some.
Yes. Well, it's on edge. Pass the fuck out. On edge. Cameraman. And everyone else is pretty into it, but one of them can't, and then the dog can't get enough of the beer.
Oh gosh,
the dog's drunk, actually.
All right, so we're actually oh man, we're taking it out of the end zone now.
No way. Wow.
Wow. All right, so Matt, we're gonna check in on the next Seattle offensive drive. Really, it's going to be interesting if they do go to Doug Baldwin. 2.7% owned, and you already have 12.6, but you need a little bit.
You need about 20.
Yeah, you need a little bit more to move up into that big money. So we'll be back with you the next drive. For right now, yeah, just stay on the line and. Man, this is what the sweat show is all about. We're getting these 2 guys that are sweating a I mean, they're sweating the chance at $1 million. Both have a legit chance at this $1 million. And I almost feel like there's a little bit of a Drew Dinkmeyer situation. Can we get Drew back on? Let's get Drew back on, because this kind of happened to him last year where he had Marcus Wilson, and then what happened was he left or he was out of first place, and then they got the touchdown, which put him into first place. And so it was like a big swing of emotions, and it seems like that's almost kind of the storyline we're getting for either of these two guys that have players left in this $1 million sweat. Drusif, are you there?
I'm here, buddy.
So do you think there's going to be like a hands-to-face moment going on?
I don't know. I don't think anybody else has that unique way to deal with stress that I do, which is just hiding my face from cameras, which I think is for the best, really.
Yeah.
But I don't think, it doesn't seem like anybody else has that going on. It seems like people are like standing, they've got a lot of energy, kind of, walking around. I don't think we'll get the hands to the face, but I think it's very possible we get that moment. Chipotle Addict has the same scenario, really, that I had last year, which was, start off a little bit behind, get up into first place early, and see that account balance, and then see it go away, and your heart just sinks, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting for that opportunity. With the defense, it's even tougher because you're there, looking for just anything, and definitely got a chance.
Yeah, and you have like Seattle defense that now, an interception is $1 million play, and on the opposite side, like a Doug Baldwin touchdown might be $1 million play.
Yeah, I thought those guys were being a little bit dismissive of Baldwin. Like, I think I'm looking at the right scoreboard here. 8 points back. That's one play. Like, that's not.
I think they called it a long shot, and maybe that's just because it's Doug Baldwin. But he's already caught one.
Don't disrespect Doug Baldwin. He takes this very personally.
Yeah, and like Wiggins said, Doug actually won someone $1 million last year.
He did. He won Kobe for MVP.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's got a lot of for MVP names, so I wasn't sure if it was Kobe.
Yeah, it's Kobe. He was Westbrook,
Troll, Kobe. I feel like there's another one too.
Rondo.
Got a lot of MVPs.
Yeah, he was the MVP guy. Won $1 million for won $1 million in the football championship. I just got this tweet from @MagicHonkySauce. Have they considered removing most of their teeth for good luck? It worked. It's worked in the past. I don't think they have, but yeah, it has worked in the past. As far as like, if you had to choose, who would you be? Mano Child, Chipotle Addict, or MT Haley? Like, if you could put yourself in one of those spots.
Wow. I think I'd want to be Chipotle Addict. I feel like Seattle's D. I feel like 2 points is very much within reach here, especially just the way that their defense has played this game, the way that Detroit has historically struggled protecting Stafford, the way he turns the ball over. I think that's the spot I'd take, but with each minute that ticks off the clock, it becomes a lower probability.
Yeah,
that plays out.
I think the Baldwin lineup is definitely the one I would not want to have. Because that's kind of just a long shot. I think I'd want to be the team in first.
Yeah.
Like the probability of not getting they could let up a sack and still be okay.
Yeah, the thing is, this drive, I feel like is going to decide it, because I feel like there's a good chance that this drive, I think there's like 4:50 left on the clock. I feel like there's a good chance that Seattle can string together a drive that ends it.
What's going to happen if Seattle kicks a field goal and then they're down by a touchdown, so they have to throw like a Hail Mary at the end, and it gets picked?
That would be a pretty epic.
It would honestly complete the Chipotle addict garbage time lineup. Like his lineup was all garbage time points, and then fading Mark Ingram, and then getting a last second interception that seemed to be kind of meaningless, but turned out being $1 million interception.
And I mean, that's the thing. We talk about that Mark Ingram situation, and neither Mano Child or Chipotle Addict would be in first place, right? You were saying if the Ingram touchdown held yesterday. And it's one of those things that you really need a lot of things to break your way. And I know for me, there were just a number of things that kind of just fell my way. Like Macklin in the game that I was sweating hard fell at 99 yards short, just short of the bonus. Fumbled at the 1 yard line. You need every little thing to kind of click your way. So when you're in this position of Chipotle Addict and you've had, the garbage time from Hopkins, and granted, Hopkins could add more. He had like a late touchdown that was kind of ruled off because he stepped out of bounds. But you had the extra time for Bortles and Hearns to rack up points in overtime. You have all these different things, and you kind of feel like, okay, I'm set up for that last piece to fall my way.
Yeah. And as it seems like a lot of short passes right now for Detroit, and they're not really taking a lot of chances yet. So let's go back.
Those short passes, though, Seattle's DBs like to jump those. Like if I'm holding Seattle's defense, I kind of like these short passes. I know they're completing them for yards right now, but Seattle's D is a pretty aggressive one that likes to jump them, and Stafford's pretty vulnerable to that. So that doesn't bother me if I'm kind of watching this drive develop. I'm thinking, okay, I might get a real good shot here at Seattle jumping one, and if they jump one, it'll be pick six.
Yeah, so we're actually going to go back to
get me out of here.
Yeah, we're gonna get you out of here. We'll get you out to close up the show, but we're gonna get back to the brothers. Two very well-known high-stakes players. Brothers, one currently in fourth place, needs an interception to be the leader in the Millionaire Maker. And it's setting up to be like a close game. And again, guys, a field goal does not hurt you.
Yeah, I think a field goal would kind of help us in a way.
And I just was talking to Drew Dinkmeyer about a situation where they have to throw like a Hail Mary at the end and you get like an interception. Would just like kind of complete this garbage time fantasy goodness lineup. As we get now, they're into scoring territory. So I'm actually like 2 seconds in front of you guys, so I'm going to like try not to react. If I see an interception, I'm just going to like motion to go full screen. I'll try my best with the poker face. So how many people are there with you in your living room right now?
Just 5 of my close friends and my brother.
Okay. 5 of your close friends and your brother. And are they as tense as you guys are?
Yes.
No, they don't care about my money. They're not worried about it.
I also have Seahawks.
So you got a guy there that's also sweating Seahawks.
Yeah, he's got like $2 on him. So he's got some intense stuff going on back there.
Have you told, like, is there a plan if an interception takes place? Like, is there a plan to just like go crazy? Like, I don't even know.
I mean, I don't think there needs to be a plan with us.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's just known what's about to happen if they get an interception. Oh my gosh, please!
Gonna hit up Greensboro real hard.
Oh, Greensboro won't know what happened.
I don't think I've ever been out in Greensboro, but Monday night Greensboro.
Yeah. So as far as like your gut feeling for right now, like, do you feel good? You still feel good about this? Like, what would you put your chances? No, you do not feel good.
Wait, what was the question?
Do you feel good about your chances?
No.
Okay.
Answer still no.
If you had to switch, like if you could switch right now, with the first place team, would you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So like give yourself the guaranteed because Drew talking with him just now, he said he'd still want to be in your position. Like he really believes that the Seattle defense is going to make something happen.
I have as much faith as anybody in Stafford throwing a pick, but I don't know. We're running out of time, and like if it was 1 point, I would love our spot, but 1 sack really doesn't do anything for us. So we really need an interception, which is just a little bit tougher.
Yeah, and you also have if they score a field goal, again, it doesn't hurt you, but it would tie the game up, which could force overtime, and then you'd have more time potentially in overtime to win.
Yeah, we could deal with overtime.
Yeah, we can do with a sack now, and then overtime, and then another sack.
That's all we're asking for.
Have you calculated what like the risk reward, like if they score a touchdown, what might happen to you guys?
It can't be good. That's all I know.
Yeah, it'd be close to being scared, I feel like.
So right now, 2nd and 4, and it just seems like they're playing for a field goal. It seems like
we gotta just.
They're not. I don't know why they're being so conservative. When you're a significantly worse team, I feel like you just have to go for it and hope for the best. I don't know why they're like dumping it off like they actually like can stick.
Well, now they're like out of 3.
Yeah, and you have Zinner in there like carrying the ball, like that's like that's like the ultra conservative play.
Yeah.
And you see the stat right now on Matthew Stafford's game-winning drives, and you guys are Lions fans, but this is the most you've ever cheered against the Lions.
This is even accurate. They've been won 17 games in the past 4 years.
You think the stats, they're just making it up.
When you're behind in like every game, you're going to have some like come from behind game-winning drives.
I can't really see what's going on. I think they might be taking a timeout. Golden Tate just looks like the saddest human ever. Yeah,
so disappointed this quarterback.
Fun fact: Golden Tate from where I'm from, Nashville, Tennessee, and he loves his Krispy Kreme donut or Dunkin' Donuts. He like broke into a Dunkin' Donuts after his rookie season or in the summer of his rookie season. So you guys already know this because you're Lions fans. But as far as this play goes, let's just see how it develops. 3rd and 1. Do you think they throw on this drive?
I don't know. I feel like, well, I haven't really been here, but they've been getting stuffed on the run all night. I feel like they have to.
Where they are in shotgun formation, so that would.
All right, that's good.
That's where he does his magic.
No, 37 kills.
Oh wow! Oh no!
Stop it!
Oh
no! What just happened? What just happened?
Someone tell us what happened.
There's a fumble.
Please let that be.
I think it's going to be a touchback.
It's going to catch a fumble. It'll be on the.
That's fumble recovered though, right?
No, they didn't. If he would have picked it up,
he's not in.
Yeah, but if he would have picked it up, it would have been a fumble recovered.
Wait, if he would have
no, it's still fumble recovered if he's in the end zone.
No.
No, I think it might be just considered a touchback. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to speak for the stats company, but that is
stats company. We will give you $500,000 to call it a fumble.
Wow, Calvin Johnson inches away again. Like you got the Mark Ingram touchdown call back. This time, Calvin Johnson inches away from scoring a touchdown. If anything, even though you might not have won $1 million off it, like that still was, you saved a lot of money. Because you would have.
So odd. You would have recovered. First place. David, confirm or deny?
I'm not going to confirm or deny.
David!
I'm not going to confirm
Tell us
or
it's not a
deny.
lie!
Tell us it's not a fuck. Sorry. Hold up, mother. Just tell us it's not a lie.
I would say that if it's counting right now, then you are in good shape. Like I think.
Yeah, but it's not true.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's definitely before the goal. That's definitely a fumble, though, right?
They already played the next part. So
It is.
That's right. They wouldn't get this stat wrong.
If you mess up that stat, I will. Holy shit! What's going on?
Big Papa Gates just.
I'm so scared to change
Wait,
it.
I thought we needed 3 points to pass up.
No, 2.
No, you just needed 2. You just needed an interception or a fumble recovery.
We need a first down. 1 first down, it's over.
So now you.
Who is this? Someone
It's
go tell.
Donnie. I was disappointed.
Oh man.
My security guys tell me I'm being too loud.
Okay.
I'm having people tell them, no, we're not.
Yeah, tell them like,
I'm telling them that's not the case. It's not true.
Say, so you're needing a first down. Detroit had to waste a timeout on that last drive, so that means they only have one more time. Or no, they're out of timeouts after this. So a first down.
Spending $1 million?
No, we need a first.
Oh no! Oh, third down.
So a first down
One first down, but oh yeah, so points would drop.
A field
us
goal would be fine. No,
badly.
Not a field goal.
Yeah. Oh no, a field goal is fine.
Field goal's fine.
Yeah, but field goal is fine. You just they couldn't be able to score again.
Oh, true. We don't want anything here.
Oh,
put in Mark. Get Marshall off the bench for this.
You just want games to end.
So 1 first down, it's over.
Okay. So 1 first down, it's over. Don't worry about it though. Like
we're not worried about it at all. We're not nervous at all.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's a
So
first down.
I was thinking about
Don't tell us what happened.
I'm not.
Dude.
I'm not.
Don't break the bad news to us.
What the shit? No.
Give us the first.
Yeah! Let's go down. Let's go down. Nobody asked for it.
I think you just did, guys. I think you.
Is there any bad news yet?
Just tell us everything's good.
You know, I cannot tell you everything's good. What I can tell
Just
you,
tell us.
what I can tell you is you're currently in first place, winning $1 million. Oh man, what's that play?
Yeah, we can.
It didn't even do anything. So now all they have to do. Unfortunately, he didn't go out of bounds, but I think all they have to do now is nil.
Yeah,
Let's see. Put up the W, guys. Put up the W.
No, we drank it all yesterday. All nine bottles.
All 9 bottles.
We drank 9
Victory formation!
V. They're in the V. Oh man, I wish we had the rights to the "We Are the Champion" songs, but you're just gonna have to settle for me singing it to you. No, I'm just kidding.
Holy shit!
Okay.
That 7-hour flight and everything was so worth it.
Yeah, you got stuck in the airport. You had a 2.
Is there still a chance they change that?
Listen, I don't know. I don't know if they change it or not.
We need you to research this and make sure that this does not disappear.
Before anything more happens, I need to ask, what's your favorite Chipotle plate? Like, you could be in the running for like a freaking.
Dude, I'm
you
trying
could
to
get sponsored. You could get sponsored.
About Chipotle. You got any hookups?
No, there is one like right below the DraftKings office, though.
Get me in there.
So, what's your favorite combo from Chipotle?
Okay, so it's both beans, brown rice, half steak, half chicken.
Listen,
and
try to
all
get
the
it out.
salsas
Bumped.
with no guac. I can't afford the guac yet. Maybe.
I think it sounds extra guac.
Yes, you can afford all the extra guac now.
I haven't quite been able to get to the guac yet, but I think this might be the day.
We got that guac now, baby.
Done.
Yeah, as long as they don't change the stat.
They change that stat. I will.
No, I don't think they're going to change the step. But again, I don't know. Like, I don't want to.
Technically recover.
That was crazy. I can't believe that just happened.
And Big Papa Gates, I want to thank you for censoring yourself because I know how bad you want to drop the F-bomb right now. Like, I know that you want to drop
really
it.
just tried to just
I know.
work its way out of me, but it's not coming. It can't defeat me.
I know, but
My mom taught me better.
After 7 hours of trying to get to your brother, you finally made it to him. And as of right now, Chipotle Addict with a 200.02 is winning the $1 million. So as of right now, it's final. And maybe we can get some. But that was
my carry? Where's my carry on this?
We should. I tell you what, for sweat shows going forward, we're gonna have a referee that we go to for stats. Just say, did they just win $1 million, or is that the most?
I can't fully solve it until I know for sure.
Yeah. No.
Actually, I also have a question. Do you know what happened? Right now, I'm shopping for one of the qualifiers. How does that work?
So serious.
I don't know. Like sometimes they'll just chop the value of this meat.
Okay.
But that's so you're chopping like exactly like a 200.02.
I think you got another one though too, right?
So that lineup, that fumble recovery got you also a trip to Vegas potentially.
If I want to, I don't know. Know. Oh, I think it might be like highest score for one player.
Yeah, there might be like who scored the most on most. There might be.
Anyway, it's not important.
Yeah,
don't worry about
what's important?
We're doing okay otherwise.
What's important right now is that, man.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all I got for you.
Pretty intense. $1 million. You've been playing for a while now. How hard have you been going like at these tournaments? Like, did you think this could happen to you?
No, so honestly, the Millionaire makers they're a great promotion, but they're so top heavy that it's not something we actually attack. So we've never been chasing $1 million. We've just been trying to grind out a profit, and we throw a couple entries in there, but that's not our goal. So it just, obviously
how many entries did you have?
Crazy fortunate. I put in, I think 30 entries or something.
And I probably only put in like 20 or something.
Yeah.
But when there's 400,000 entries, you just have to get so lucky for it all to come together. So
and this again completes the epic lineup that is Chipotle Addicts lineup. Like this is I'm gonna call you cardiac Chipotle because everything was last minute. Drew Dinkmeyer just posted in our chat and said that an old ESPN article from 2008 says that it is a defensive fumble recovered. So
Drew, confirm it.
Drew did mention that. So
send you like a flower basket or something.
Yes, send him a flower.
No, edible arrangement for that.
Yes. Well, that'll be more than he sent Marcus Wilson when they won it for him. But yeah, an epic swing from almost getting you guys almost fell out of the top 15, top 20 potentially if he scores that touchdown. And a last second, whoever that defensive player was, you've got to get their jersey.
Oh, I'm getting his jersey so hard.
100%. You got to get their jersey because that was $1 million.
That's my favorite player I've ever watched play, besides maybe Allen Iverson.
Random for sure. So when do you tell your parents now?
Ooh,
that's a good question. I'm not even sure they even know we have a chance at anything.
They don't. We didn't tell them.
No, I don't think they know anything. Honestly.
You guys should fly. Where do they live?
They live in Michigan still.
Ooh, we could fly back.
You should fly to Michigan and just be like, surprise! It'd be like sweepstakes, the old sweepstakes commercial.
Our parents are an old hippie couple though, so they don't care. They actually despise money. My mom actually might be angry about this. They're not going to be pleased.
Oh, well, you guys have done it. Where are you going to put the big check? What now? You've won $1 million. What now?
You've been here before. We don't know what to do. You're the one you've awarded the big checks. We're just literally grinders.
Yeah, I don't have any big checks. I have seen them given away though. But as far as did you guys Did you let yourself think, what if I won the $1 million today? I didn't want to jinx it by asking this question earlier.
I tried really hard not to.
No, I thought about the whole day. And dreamed about it last night.
So what comes next, though? I mean, anything? Any extravagant purchases?
What's a Chipotle?
No, we're just gonna raise our stakes a little bit in DFS, and I don't know, I'm happy where I'm at, so I don't have any extravagant purchases on the menu.
Here's the question: how much does it cost to purchase a Chipotle franchise?
Okay, so I've looked into this many times. Actually, I had this discussion yesterday with my friends. But they don't franchise, so you can't buy one. So unless, you just can't.
Who knows? They might just give you one.
I mean, I just want to be sponsored by Chipotle. That's all.
It'd be pretty.
It's not too much to ask, right?
It would be pretty awesome, and they should, because look how much attention you're giving them. Probably
there's like 12 people out there watching this right now.
Their stock is going way up after they found out a guy who really likes their food won $1 million playing fantasy football. So awesome. Guys, I'll let you go celebrate. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and you guys are the first $1 million winners we've had on the Monday Night Sweat Show. So I don't want to say that we're responsible for you guys winning the million.
Well, okay, fine. We'll send you edible arrangements back.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure.
Edible arrangement.
Good. I wanted to make sure that we are
really working for it.
Yeah, that we're on the same wavelength there. But Chipotle addict Thomas Crawley and his brother, Big Papa. I got to get your first name.
Martin.
Martin.
Yep.
Again, another set of brothers, and maybe, man. I wish my sister was better at DFS. So, guys, congrats. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you with a big check and maybe even on a commercial sometime soon.
Sounds good, David. Thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot.
So, guys, welcome to the big time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that live. I wanted to say it live. They're excited. Special thanks to them for joining us tonight, because really, you're sweating, and that was a pretty big swing for them, like a really big swing. We'll have to go back and look at if Megatron scores a touchdown there, that might have been like a 6-digit loss for them. In fact, it would have been a 6-digit loss. How much? I'm not sure. But instead, the ball is punched out of the end zone, and instead of them trying to recover it, they bat it out of the end zone, which counts as a fumble recovery, which gives them $1 million. Absolutely nuts. So thanks to them. Thanks also to MT Haley. I know it didn't work out quite like he expected, but still getting 12 points for Baldwin on tonight is pretty nice. So we should also mention our buddy Peter, who did not have that Ingram touchdown count for him, or else he might have been celebrating the middle, but he's still $50,000. And so that was like a $30,000 fumble recovery for him as well. So good for those guys. If you've been watching tonight, really appreciate you being with us. Tonight was a fun sweat show. And yeah, so we'll be back next Sunday night, next Monday, and make sure you're tuning into the Daily Fantasy Edge podcast as well as the matchups breakdown. I'm Soccer Dave, David Kitchen. We will see you later.